Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to Wrestling Insiders. Wrestling Insiders Super Chat Sunday night live as myself and my cohort, my partner in crime, a man whose foot is apparently still injured.
Not my
Either
foot.
that or he's feeling rather lazy, one or the other.
Well, a little bit of both.
A little laziness and a little injury.
Well, I like to be lazy, but also, it makes me look more important.
Makes you feel more important? All right, well, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to watch WWF/WWE Survivor Series 1991 on WWE Network. If you go to the blue bar at the top of the YouTube page, there is a link that'll take you directly to it on the WWE Network, on the Peacock Network. I think that's the way you would describe it. We are less than 24 hours removed from a hellacious night at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts, downtown Melrose, Massachusetts, if you will. A night with a lot of memories, a lot of legends, some good memories, some memories that I would like to put in the past, some people I would like to put in the past, but it's a different story for a different time, I guess.
You can say that.
I would love if maybe if Phil is out there tonight. I know he was there. Would love to know what he thought. Quincy Rastani was there live. We got John C. in the control booth tonight.
He was there.
John C.
John C. was there. Quincy was there with his bottle of milk.
Captain Lou Dater is in the other room trying to score a payday, apparently.
Yeah, he might be trying to score something else.
Hustling.
Yeah,
Little
he's a
hustling going on.
I love Lou, but you know how he is.
Well, you know what? He's a man that I'll bite my tongue. I'll bite my tongue. But folks, we are just 16 days away from our return to the Sunshine State in Tampa, Florida for the Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. Our efforts this weekend, there's some good, some bad. We were supposed to do, or I should say record more content than we did in studio, but due to a variety of reasons, that didn't get done, which I'm not exactly overwhelmed with, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do, brother?
You know what you can do, folks? You can share the link to this watch along on your favorite social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Facebook wrestling groups, Insta. I don't think you can share a link on Instagram, can you?
I think you could try.
You could try. All right.
You could try.
Well, I know John C. is trying to use some unique program on the computer to find the Survivor Series 91 logo to put over us. So.
Yes. And also, if you're out there watching a smart TV and you're just checking in on us with a phone or a tablet of some sort, go to Peacock, Season 5 under Survivor Series 91. It's got a logo of Hogan and Undertaker.
Well, that was the main event.
That was the main event.
Pretty good.
That was the main event.
John C., what are you doing out here?
Did you want me to do that?
If you want to.
If you'd like to put a logo.
All right. Well, it's Survivor Series 1991.
No, I can't.
Oh, you can't? Why?
Because we're not streaming through OBS.
Oh, that only shows up on that one platform? Oh, not everything?
Yeah, because this is just a raw stream.
Oh, so this wouldn't come through on YouTube?
No, it's just the cameras and the switching.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
If I put it through OBS, I can put graphics over it and stuff.
What would you have to do that?
I guess you could put it on the graphics, but I don't know how to do that on the switcher.
So you're not doing anything then, other than disappointing the fans that wanted the logo.
I'll figure it out.
I'm teasing. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. Thank you, Matthew, for the comment about my nice legs. But anyway, folks, if you want to tune in with us, get your WWE Network up on PeacockTV.com. The link can be found up above. It can be found in the description box below. You think we're ready to, are we ready for a little Survivor Series action?
I think so. Let's go for it.
All right, John C., could you cut to the acclaimed Charlie Wilson? We don't want anyone to see my pillow.
So we're going to go. Dan's about to hit the link. I'm going to give him a little rundown. So we're going to start Survivor Series 91 in 10, 9.
No. Please don't put that pressure on.
Oh, gosh. Well, when do you want
I like to say we're going to hit the button to watch it in 3, 2, 1, click.
Okay.
So we're in that position right now. Put your cursor over the Hulkster and the Undertaker. We're going back to the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan, Thanksgiving Eve, 1991, for a little Striving to Survive in 3, 2, 1, play. There we go. We're off to the races. See if we can get a little sound for us.
I think sometimes I think this is.
We got to go back to the beginning, but that's all right. All right, folks. Get ready for Survivor Series 91. I remember watching this live from old Marty. I wasn't on Marty Hill then. Old Marty House, I guess. Different theme song than we heard of the early Survivor Series of that era.
And this is kind of an interesting era because we're in 91, end of 91. This is kind of towards the end of that rock and wrestling Hogan era. We're kind of towards the end of it.
No, they were rebounding from a horrific 1990s, so here we go with one of the big angles of the era. Jake the Snake and Macho Man Randy Savage. Sid Justice was injured and taken out of Survivor Series, along with many house shows he continued to be advertised on or replaced by Mr. Madness. I don't know if you would like to guess who that was under a hood, as Randy Savage was retired at this point in time. And then one day Vince said, all my talent is in the commentary booth. And Macho Man Randy Savage and Roddy Piper were put back on the road.
I love that Cobra.
You love the Cobra. And you know what? Hopefully Macho Man Randy Savage got a nice bonus for this. Because if I was him, I don't know if I'd really want the Cobra. It's sucking it on my arm.
The story was
like Piggott looking for $1 bills.
He had Jake bite him earlier to make sure it was developed.
Well, I think that's only fair.
Well, I mean, great looking. And then he slaps him to add some
insult to injury. I think the fast cuts added to the drama of it.
Someone asked,
Chief
"Where's
J Strongbow trying to?" This is Miss Elizabeth.
Someone in the chat asked, "Where's Sacco?" And he was an ring announcer.
Sacco had a big night last night at Memorial Hall in Melrose.
Well, he never come by the studio again.
Oh, I'm sure. I don't know why he wouldn't. Loose, Can, how are you, my friend? Phil, how are you, Phil? It was nice to see you for about, I don't know, what was it, about 45 seconds last night here at the studio as I was melting away. I felt like Randy Savage with the snake on me, but I hope you enjoyed yourself. I understand you had a traveling companion going home, which must have...
The great Rastani.
It's just a rumor as far as I know, but I don't know. That's one way to put it. Elizabeth doing a good job.
Who's that ring rat?
Selling for the Macho Man. Roddy Piper going ballistic around ringside, trying to move her instead of trying to help Randy.
Is that what you call a ring rat?
I'm not going to go there. Pat Patterson, the darker-haired Pat right there. Fans are beside themselves.
I don't know. It looks like the angle wasn't really getting over here for some reason.
No, did all right on the road as far as drawing.
Were they drawing well in late 91?
It is much better than 90. Certainly wasn't the...
Do you remember any good house shows at this time you went to?
This was one of those times when just about everybody was in a pretty good program. The year before sucked, and that's why they cut so many people right around Survivor Series 90.
Oh.
He didn't like him.
He was not a fan of the Cobra.
I bet he still has a phobia of snakes to this day. The Macho Man was a trooper. Unfortunate that Jake would not be around much longer, and is back when authority figures actually had some value.
Much better than Sonya Deville.
Or pretty much anyone they've had the past 20 years.
I thought Teddy Long wasn't bad.
Yeah, not weekly.
Playa.
When Tunney came on, every couple of months, you knew something important was going on. Wonder if that was out of Titan Towers.
Phil, how much milk did Quincy drink last night at the show? And did he eat his goldfish crackers as well?
Likes a snack.
And he liked to hustle his pizza as well, from what I heard too.
What color shirt did he have on? Do you remember?
I think it was a grayish one.
Wasn't that purple that he had on last Thursday?
One time, at one point, Medusa said not to Quincy, she was talking with someone. I said, yeah, this guy used to, this big guy used to turn purple when he would wrestle. I said, is that the Undertaker? Because he used to wear purple.
What?
There was this guy, Medusa was talking about someone who was, this big guy used to wrestle back in the early 90s, and he's like, oh yeah, he was so big he would turn purple. He wouldn't get enough breath. I said, well, the Undertaker, he was wearing purple at that time. Was that him? She didn't find the humor in that.
I'm going to guess no.
No.
I'm going to guess no.
She was a funny person in her own right.
No, that's one way to describe her.
Great coat by Gorilla. Great coats he wore.
Well, it was Thanksgiving Eve. He had to look good. Bobby had a nice haircut. Bobby sometimes, I think, would wait a little too long for the haircut. He'd look almost a little raggedy.
Quincy was in rare form. Our seatmates were highly entertained. Says,
he brings the electricity.
You could say that.
He's the most electrifying man in Boston wrestling MWF.
Quincy has money in the bank. Maybe you should give him the briefcase.
Commentators that are effective. Who would have thunk it?
I think Heenan could have even done more after WCW. I mean, obviously the tongue cancer, which was
he could have done more after WCW.
Even because he was commentating WCW up until what, 99, 2000.
I think they let go of him in late 2000 before the company went out of business.
Yeah, I mean, he had more to offer even then, especially as a manager.
Well, even if he got that spot, I don't think he would have been longing for it. There's a pair that wasn't around long enough, I don't think.
I agree. Did you? Well, Sherry
Sherry was just kind of yanked from him.
But wasn't she with DiBiase for a while initially? 87-ish, 88?
No.
Warlord.
Good friend, the Warlord, was with us last year for the Paul Bearer Holiday Headlock Story Drive.
He might come by next year, hopefully, sometime.
You never know. I'd say, trying to think. After they put them together I don't even think they were together for a year. Sherry and DiBiase. Because at WrestleMania 7, she managed Savage, and at WrestleMania 8, she managed Shawn Michaels. So it was a short-lived union, but I thought they were pretty good together. There he is, the real world's champion. The very colorful Mr. Perfect.
This was probably
legal issues with the WCW championship belt at this point.
Would you say this was the end of Flair's prime?
I don't think anything he did in WWF was exceptionally good, other than the angle they did to introduce him. I thought was excellent, but
I think it's almost like, but that's, as far as a work, not that he was bad, but it seems like he was just a hair there after his peak. If he had gone there in '88, like he originally was asked to go, he would have had more impact. But I mean, it was. The
creative was kind of lousy outside of the angle to introduce him. He went through all of the great opponents he could have had in legitimately about 6 months. It was just unbelievable how they dropped the ball on that.
And then I think WCW did a much better job with him and Hogan.
No, I don't know if he'd agree with that, but yeah, no, you're right. Had a lot more interest, but you know, they decided to keep their word to Sid, and they went with it.
I personally believe Flair was always looked at as a short-term option, but I think they could have done a little bit better job with him for sure. I mean, by beginning of '93, they were like, "Hey, we're done with Ric Flair."
Now, considering he was in WCW in late '93, I think that'd be a safe way to put it.
Well, I mean, I just think, in my opinion, Flair's days as a main event talent were done by '93, '94. I think that was the time for him to go down the card a little bit. Speaking of main eventers, we got Virgil.
Oh, please.
What would it take for you to put him in this chair that I'm sitting in?
If there was someone out there that wanted to pay for it and pay me to do it, I'd be happy to accommodate their request.
Have you heard of some of the phrases he has?
I don't know how many of those are even his, but
Well, like he likes to get that quote unquote fuck money.
yeah, I think a lot of that is those that portray the Iron Sheik on Twitter. It's a very large Davey Boy Smith.
Definitely during his juiciest. It's like looking at Dave.
You think John C. could get his hair done
looking
like
like
Davey
Cena
Boy Smith?
Senior, Cena Junior over here, a little Cena.
Who?
Our friend Cena Junior, little Cena.
He looks like Davey Boy Smith?
He was walking around like Davey Boy. November the 13th, he was a big, bulky little guy.
Oh, all right. Well, and there he is, the hot rod, without his traditional hot rod shirt.
He looked a little bigger here than before. You think he was bigger here than in '85? Well,
No way, no,
85.
because they were testing at this point.
Oh, late
Everybody was
'91?
starting to shrink.
Was it late '91 they started?
You got it.
Why were they able to stop testing in '96? They just didn't have the scrutiny anymore?
Yeah, pretty much. No one really cared. It cost a lot of money. It took away from the superhero type look of a lot of the talent.
I will say I think that's one of the good things about, but even some of the guys who are on them, I don't, like I'm looking at guys like Brett. Did Brett get that much smaller from 92 to 95, 96 than what he was in 90, 91? Or Flair? Flair did steroids on and off. I don't think it really changed his appearance much. Some of the guys didn't change their
Well, there were
appearance
some
much.
guys that could get exceptions.
I think
Exemptions, maybe, is the way to put it.
well, I think it depended on what you took too, because some guys would get off and they'd lose 40 pounds. Other guys would get off and they might lose just 10.
And there were other substances that they couldn't test for. Look at these idiots waving to the camera.
Well, they just want to be seen.
No one wants to see them, though, to be honest. That's not why they bought the pay-per-view.
Are you a fan of Virgil's candy cane tights?
I really just wasn't much of a fan of Virgil.
I don't know if anyone was.
Had a heck of a long run for a guy that no one really cared about. 87 to 93.
I mean, some would say that was their golden era. That was their best era in a lot of ways to some people. So he got to run in a good time. Was he out by 93?
Yeah. They had another one of those epiphanies that they had a lot of guys under contract that nobody cared about. Oh, Matthew, I hope you're not starting with the nonsense again. I'm very tired from our mega weekend that we had here that was still supposed to be going on, but we were going to have someone with us tonight. It didn't work out the way we had planned, unfortunately, but we'll make up for it at a later time, we hope. But we are with you here for the watch along. And again, that super chat button is open, fans. We'd love to be doing these super chats live every night, but we need your help to make it happen.
That should be a
I
disqualification.
think Sherry DeMartell would have had DiBiase distracted, but they always love this spot.
That should be a disqualification from DiBiase, should it? Shouldn't it?
Or borderline sexual assault, but
No.
this was a feud I wish they did more with. Never worked pay-per-view.
You know, I gotta say, Piper as a
Outside of this, I
worker,
guess.
as an in-ring worker, wasn't that great, but God, did he get over? Davey Boy in some very interesting looking tights.
Yeah, nice looking.
I like him.
And this Virgil with the same old, same old. Quick tags. Everybody's getting involved.
Always like that little bounce Brett did when he got into the ropes.
I don't know if they're trying to take away the ability of DiBiase to do that short slam that he used to do from time to time, but they are working over the left arm of Ted DiBiase, hot and heavy here at Survivor Series 91, the opening contest. If you're just joining us tonight, Roddy Piper's team against Ric Flair's team to open the pay-per-view up. No eliminations as of yet.
This is post DiBiase and Virgil. This is after their feud.
If I remember right,
Rumble
DiBiase
91.
won the $1 million title back either right before this show or right after this show.
Well, Rumble 91 is when they have the breakup, right?
No, yeah, Royal Rumble 91.
And
yeah.
then WrestleMania is when they wrestle. They actually have the match.
Yep, and SummerSlam.
And SummerSlam, yeah. They didn't really build Virgil up that well, but
Well, I have to say the storyline itself wasn't that bad. It's just it was with the guy that didn't have much to offer.
well, I mean, they had Piper in there, kind of backing him up. I mean, ooh.
Well, Piper could have walked down the street with the shovel and picked up a pile of dog shit, too. That doesn't mean the dog shit was going to get over because of it.
He showed something, though. I mean, he wasn't completely useless in the ring.
Yes, he was. Hart and DiBiase, back-to-back Survivor Series working with each other. The year before, it was Ted DiBiase's team against Dusty Rhodes' team from the Hartford Civic Center, which we watched, I believe, last Sunday night.
Well, funny enough, Brett would work with Bulldog, Flair, and Piper all within the coming months.
And Jacques Rougeau.
And Jacques Rougeau, actually, yeah. Jacques in January, and then Piper in March or April, and then you've got Davey Boy in August, and then Flair in October. He had a busy year in '92.
Well, a little variety. Nate just wants to sell. Brett wants to get a couple of spots in.
Do you think that Flair and Brett just didn't have good chemistry with each other? Or you think Flair was trying to maybe get Brett under him a little bit?
No, I mean, Flair would put over just about anybody.
Well, I think if he wanted to. I don't know. I have a theory that maybe Flair wasn't the biggest Brett guy. As far as him being the top guy, maybe Flair felt, well, I'll kind of put him in his place a little bit.
Flair knew he could leave anytime he wanted to. So
what do you think happened? You think it was just chemistry?
yeah, just didn't click.
What happened to Piper? He got his lip busted open?
I don't know what happened there.
Maybe it was the lipstick from Sherry.
That could be it too.
That's some cheap lipstick.
This is fun when you get to go at it with your friend in real life. Try and create some magic in front of 15, 16, I don't know how many thousands, with several thousand people live in attendance.
Well, it was probably a good 12, 13,000 people right there.
For a building like that, I'd guess a little more. Not that I know off the top of my head.
You think it was a sellout?
At that period of time, yeah. It would be a rarity.
Now, for you, is 91 a great year for your fandom? I always felt you were a great fan.
Very solid year for
I felt like
WWF.
you loved 88, 89. That was a good year for you as well.
And 90 was just terrible. I'd say it probably picked up again to me right. I didn't think WrestleMania 7 was all that hot, but right around WrestleMania 7 through pretty much WrestleMania 8, when everybody started to vanish after
Well,
all the
SummerSlam,
scandals started.
SummerSlam '92 is also known as one of those pay-per-views that are known as a great show.
But it had a couple of good matches, but just the company as a whole, it sucked. Everybody was leaving. Everybody was gone.
Well, I mean, you could see it. I know when the
British
Raws,
Bulldog barely scratched the surface of WrestleMania 7, and WrestleMania 8. And I don't even remember if he was on WrestleMania.
Well,
what did Davey Boy do at WrestleMania 8? Nothing. I don't even think he was on it.
I know we're giving it away a little bit. Survivor Series '92. Look at the main event of '91, then compared to '92.
And you're saying Ric Flair had it so bad in the company.
I mean, and I love the main event of Survivor Series '92. It's a great match, but yeah, you could definitely tell WWF was starting to downsize a little bit in '93.
Well, they just knew they knew changes needed to be made with the direction they were forced to go in, with
They had to trim some
smaller
fat.
guys that were natural unless they could get exemptions or were able to be on something that was untestable or had other people urinate for them. So John C's kept his job at the rug place.
With his piece?
No, he has people falsify his tests.
So he doesn't use his actual piece?
No. P.
No, I know, from his piece.
Well, he doesn't have one. He's all natural. He's not like that other individual we saw last night at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. Some of the fans went to grab it when he came out. He had to do a little dodging.
About that
John
C.
No, well, at first I was talking about this one. That's how he's kept his job.
I thought you were talking about, hey, brother.
Well, that's who I was talking about as far as last night went. I don't think any fans assaulted.
Do you think John C would look good with John C, or John Cena Sr. would look good with Davey Boy's hairstyle with the braids?
I think John C could probably pull it off. He's got so much.
Yeah, Cena Sr. maybe not so much.
No, his hair is, no matter what it is, it's very short. The power of the British Bulldog right there.
Warlord hasn't really gotten into this thing.
Well, that might be for the best. You get in the ring, out of the ring.
Were you not a fan of the Warlord?
Well, I don't think this match would be one that would best suit him, other than the fact he wasn't in it all that much.
And these two had a series of matches for a little bit, right?
Who now?
Warlord and Bulldog.
They did. The battle of the powerhouses.
Oh, come on. Get Jacques out of there. Well, actually it makes sense, because why would you let your teammates loot? Was he the legal man?
No. Referee must have forgot. No timeout at Survivor Series, as Gorilla Monsoon reminds us. I wonder if 1 week from tonight it'll be as hellacious from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, for Survivor Series 2021.
Are you looking forward to that card?
Not especially.
It's not like Survivor Series 91 in your opinion.
No. There is not much on the Survivor Series 91 card that I see to be all that appealing at this point.
Do you have any? Well, I mean, we've joked about before. Survivor Series '93. That was a card that was not very appealing in a lot of ways.
No. Survivor Series could be hit or miss.
I think because of the natural gimmick of it, it is very hit or miss. Same with the Rumble, kind of. And the Rumble will be here before
most
you know
Rumbles people enjoy. Sometimes the undercard can either put it over the top or drag it down a notch.
Actually, the Rumble is only a couple months away.
Well, it usually does come in January, believe it or not.
It does. But we'll have to be watching some old Rumbles. Do you have any Rumbles you liked in particular?
I can't think of too many that I don't like. Well, up until I forgot who was on the show in the recent times.
Well, I know
because they don't make it feel of any importance.
I mean, to me, the Rumbles really don't start picking up until, a lot of people talk about the '92 Rumble with Flair winning.
J.A. Will, how are you, brother? Troy, no, I was busy with our own endeavor at Memorial Hall in Melrose. How was AEW Full Gear? Big 21's ready for a little 91 action. No, Brian, I have not earned any other return dates to Boston besides Survivor Series as of yet. Nothing that at least they've shared with me. No, big. Gobbledygooker came out at the Survivor Series we watched last Sunday night. Not Survivor Series 90 from the Hartford Civic Center in Hartford, Connecticut. The final Survivor Series on a Thanksgiving night, which is a shame.
Phil says every week as the Survivor Series and W respect to jobs.
He's not far off at this point.
Phil, those are some strong words.
Yeah, you're right, J.A. Well, I've heard the turkeys are going to be hard to find this year for Thanksgiving. They'd have to come down to the studio where we have plenty of them. But I can think of a few people I'd like to see thrown in an oven after this weekend. But I tell you, folks, it was an interesting one. I can't wait for part 2 of the documentary to be taped this week that Captain Lou Dater and I have been working on for you to show you how an event like we had came together as we went back to the 90s, celebrating 30 years of Boston Wrestling MWF. It leads us to the culmination of the celebration, Saturday night, April the 16th, as we go back to the 90s for Soul Survivor 10.
I don't think Virgil was that terrible.
I do. I think most people do. Christopher, how are you? Don the Barber, how are you, my friend? Don, did you get a chance to come out? Or were you too busy doing a little bit of strutting and cutting yourself? He's a machine. Am I saying it right now? He corrected me. Chris Steves, how are you, brother? Chris, when were you trying to come to Boston? Yes, Luce. Kamala was advertised to wrestle Bam Bam, but due to timing issues, they said, nope, sorry. And that happened almost every year at WrestleMania, it seemed, that a match would be cut due to timing problems. The nature of the beast.
Oh, was that the WrestleMania of the 10?
9. WrestleMania 10 had a 10-man tag cut from it.
Was that with Doink?
No.
Was Doink on 10? I can't remember.
What's that now?
Was Doink on 10, WrestleMania 10?
Yeah, he and Dink wrestled Bam Bam and Luna. The Doink that was with us this weekend. Yes. Well, partially.
He was there at Memorial Hall, yes.
Yeah, for a bit. Look at these. That guy's still standing up.
He's excited. I'm surprised there hasn't been any other eliminations besides Davey Boy right now. I would have thought maybe Virgil would have been the first one out. They want to give Virgil some...
like I said, he was either I was only paying half attention because I was trying to get the social media stuff up, but he either was $1 Million champion, or if he wasn't, he lost it like the week before on the SummerSlam Countdown show or something like that.
I'm pretty sure he lost it before this because he didn't come out with a belt. He didn't come out with a belt, so I'm pretty sure he lost.
So it must have been the previous Sunday night then, at least on TV.
Which
I don't
is
know
weird
about the
that they would
date
do
that
it
it
right
happened.
before. You think they would do it right after?
Don, I'd have to check the box. I know we had a big problem with the printers where they printed the wrong poster. There were pictures missing of Aldo Montoya and Alundra Blaze. And so I got to talk to the printers tomorrow night. I am not thrilled with them, even though they helped us out in a pickle in the last minute. But I will look just to make sure. Jamie, I'm glad you enjoyed the Just Incredible shoot. Did you enjoy any particular one? He's He's done, I think, at least 4 episodes with us at this point, and hope to have him back for more as we get Extreme on Tuesday nights. We have a very special guest this week on Wrestling Insider's Extreme after WWE NXT. Maybe we should keep it a surprise. Maybe not. I don't know.
How about, well, the people always like to know things, but that's your surprise to say.
What's that now?
I said that's your right to say that, but people do like to know.
Well, what's wrong with the surprise every now and then?
Well, people like to maybe follow along on these watch-alongs and hear the surprise, but I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Maybe we'll tell them on the Patreon. I don't know. That's one thing we really need to focus on now that November the 13th is in the rearview mirror, even though we have Tampa coming up in just a couple weeks.
Virgil, the great technician that he is.
Yeah.
How do you feel about November the 13th being done? Is there
very happy.
Overall,
it was the worst experience of my Boston Wrestling MWF life.
Your worst?
Worst.
Really?
Awful.
Out of all the things you've been through?
Maybe as far as moments go, no. But as far as the experience from beginning, middle, and end, awful. Terrible.
Can you elaborate, or you'd rather not?
It was just nothing but misery and stress and fires that needed to be put out and bullshit to deal with.
Did you enjoy your
and
meal?
People being lying and stealing and...
There was stealing?
Well, Tony Atlas.
Oh, well. Oh, I meant last night itself, the event.
I didn't see much of it. I really can't comment.
At least we had a nice meal.
We did. Chris, I got to go through the box. I'm not sure. You were the Fan Fest man. Were there any extra Bob Backlunds and Oscar photos available?
There were some Oscar photos.
But not Bob Backlund.
There are actually a lot of Oscar photos.
Signed?
Not that I can recall.
Oh, I thought that's what they were going to do in all their free time.
Well, Oscar was a little preoccupied.
What was Oscar preoccupied doing?
He just seemed to be talking to fans too much.
Well, I was talking about when it was over in the back.
Well, I didn't know because Oscar wasn't there the whole time.
Where did he go?
I don't know. You think a man that size, it'd be hard to get by him. It'd be hard for us to not see him.
Did anyone get hit by Jen's opinion? I don't think so, but you never know. I mean, I don't know if she's quite earned Annie status on this program yet, but Piggott is becoming quite the celebrity. Maybe Phil. Phil, did you see Piggott? Our great friend Phil was there. Phil was kind enough to visit me at the studio when I was getting ready to put a gun to my head, which was appreciated for a brief visit. He picked the perfect time because I wasn't in the middle of pure and utter insanity at that point, which if he showed up a half an hour earlier or so, I would have been. But it was nice to have a quick visit with Phil. I wish I could have seen so many of the great fans at the show. That's one thing that disappointed me, that I wasn't able to thank them in person. But again, we can thank that Edna Garrett wannabe at Memorial Hall.
Mark
Did you think she was an Edna Garrett wannabe?
I just want to say this. One fan named Mark came up and said he's a fan of the show. He really enjoys me and you on the show.
Well, Mark, if you're watching, hello.
Yeah, and Mark was very complimentary of me at the event. I did a lot of things. I wore a lot of hats. And
that's what Harvey said.
Yes. And he was very complimentary of me. And I'm glad it was an experience for me because I essentially, behind Mr. Manolian, was the number 2 man of the company.
Without a doubt.
For the night.
I know Lou Data might like to take the credit for that, but I would have to go with you. What's the time on the video? Oh, gosh.
Out maybe 30 minutes in? 33 minutes in? We're probably like 33, 34 minutes in, guys.
Now, why are you saying that out of curiosity?
I remember the time we start.
Oh, okay. Well, see why we have him around, ladies and gentlemen. I enjoyed this match, even if there weren't a lot of eliminations. Maybe because it was lengthy and there was a lot of action. But
you know what I like about Piper and Flair wrestling is it's like watching 2 old men, like an Abbott and Costello routine, just going at it, because there's it's almost like a comedy match without being a comedy match. You could tell how good of friends they were from the way they wrestled. Flair had no problem making himself look like a fool, and Piper had no problem doing it. So they had very good chemistry, I think.
I'd like to see Piggott take that Flair bump into the ring on April the 16th.
By the way, great ring.
Great ring. You like the ring?
I like the ring.
All right.
I love the smaller rings because I think it got better bumping ring, makes the guys look bigger.
Oh. We missed something great. Piggott told Phil and Marty to put their masks on when they were talking. Now, Phil, did it sound like you two have to put your masks on per the regulations of the city of Melrose and the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Hall? Or was she a little kinder? Because I told her I told City Hall, all of our cameras were going to be keeping an eye on her. I can't believe in the Survivor Series that Doink beat Kamala for the Intercontinental title. I don't know what alternative universe you're in, but
that did not happen at all.
Any giant sightings? Which giant would you be talking about, Don? Jacob, how are you, my man? Amara, welcome. They wanted Pig at 8x10s.
How would you have felt if they bought Pig at 8x10?
I think that'd be one of the greatest things ever, to be honest.
How much would you sell one for?
I'd like to actually maybe print up some 8x10s of Charlotte Ray from her peak of, what was that? I can't even think of the name of the show now. I'm so tired. Facts of Life. And see if anyone would go up to her and ask her to sign them.
Maybe we could ask Captain Lou.
Free Pig at 8x10s.
Can we ask Captain Lou to have a Photoshop of her next to Charlotte, Sasha, and the rest of the women?
Well, they could be the 5 horsewomen. Maybe risque photos of Piggott.
No, I mean that I don't know how
Was she
far
looking good?
She was nice looking.
Really?
Yeah.
Piggott was going to convert you. Well, I'm anxious to see if Phil thought my imitation of Piggott was accurate in the way she addressed Marty and Phil.
Speaking of risque photos, I have to go to the bathroom. So I'll be back in just a moment. But keep the camera machines rolling.
No, Chris, you are incorrect. Piggott is not the only woman that can make Dan smile. I detest Piggott.
Who is? Well, I'll ask you to come back. I'll be right back.
But believe it or not, she wasn't my least favorite woman of the weekend. She may have actually been number 3, believe it or not. Well, I tell you, it was a hell of a weekend, folks. There's a lot of knives in this bag. There's a lot of knives in this bag. She more or less mimed it. So she didn't actually speak it, Phil. She just kind of went something like that. I'm very, very curious. Rise, I believe you are correct about that. Heza, you are correct about that. I know, as far as I know, that is fact that Barry was the first to receive Annie's special treatment. It's me, Danny boy. Ken Smith. Ken, you got to do better than that, brother. It's me, Danny boy. And yet another Survivor Series without the Macho Man competing. Although this time, I guess it was due to his retirement / snake bite. But the fans awfully happy to see him. The chance of reinstate the Macho Man. We're going wild at venues around the corner and around the world. I'd like to see John C. in one of Randy Savage's hats with that moss coming out the side. I don't think Annie ever dated the Hulkster Rise. She, I believe the Hulkster was already married by the time Annie kind of surfaced with her special skill in the Boston, New England area. Jay, I think if I remember it right, Virgil was a gym teacher. I could be wrong about that. It was a horrifying ordeal. Again, I don't think Charlie and his reclined foot appreciated the Macho Man Jake the Snake angle as much as I did. Like I said, Phil, I think if Annie ever went in to give Andre that service, I think she'd still be in there. Be like a bear going into a cave. Matthew, I just don't think death jokes in that capacity, like it's an announcement, is hysterical. Yes, J.A., you're right. Angelo King Kong Mosca passed away. His enemy, Mr., I think it was Kemp up in Canada, that he swung his cane at a few years ago at a Canadian Football League Legends reunion. I don't think he shed too many tears about that. For Annie, it almost would have been like going into a condo with Andre. For any of you out there that were fans back in 1991, did the idea of Taboo Tuesday appeal to you, where on Thanksgiving Eve you probably paid, I'm going to guess that this was a $27.50 job for Survivor Series 91, and then being asked to cough up another, I think Taboo Tuesday was, or this Tuesday in Texas was only $12.95, if I remember correct. Did you like the idea of that? Rise, I think you're right about Michelle McCool. I'm not sure about Croft. Is this jabroni that's sitting next to him his scamming son? Now, you talking about him sitting next to me? Or am I his son once he comes back from the men's room? I'm a little older. Yes, Brian, it was on Thanksgiving night from 87 through 90. This was the very first Survivor Series on Thanksgiving Eve, which was the tradition 91 through 94. So you got 4 on Thanksgiving night, you got 4 on Thanksgiving Eve, and then it just became an ordinary average WWF pay-per-view on Sunday nights. Someone just asked, is the jabroni that's sitting next to him his scamming son? I don't know if either Brandon J. or Devon Brent would appreciate that comment. Do you know what that means?
I do not know.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought maybe there was something you knew that I didn't. I enjoyed the angle that probably would have been closer to Survivor Series 88, where on the Brother Love show, Bad News Brown accused Elizabeth of servicing Jack Tunney.
I love that. That's a good one. You know, I heard that Liz was Randy's rap back in the early days.
Well, she was friendly with the wrestlers back then.
She was a big girl. She was like 300 pounds, according to rest his soul, Buddy Landau.
I didn't know she was a little on the plump side.
She was a little on the plump side. He said she was a big old girl, that Elizabeth, and he told her, "You lose some weight, you can get with me."
J.A., believe it or not, Bill Eadie is still a teacher. He's cut down to part-time, but even at his age down in the Hotlanta area, there are some students that still learn under the watch of Mr. Eadie.
What do you think about Macho's outfit here tonight?
What's that?
What do you think about Macho's outfit?
Loved him. Anything he could get a tax write-off, he was willing to spend a little money on. Other than that.
Do you ever wear the same outfit twice?
He did Stone Roses. Oh, yeah. Did you watch this Tuesday in Texas, John C.? Or are you going back into the fridge again? I know what you're looking for.
Would you want to watch some Tuesday in Texas, or would you want to?
Oh, we'd have to have a Tuesday night watch along, I guess. What you talk about the epitome of why bother?
Oh, this is great. This is a great match.
Are you
kidding me, Marty? Get the hell out of here! You had Oscar on the show, and you want to know who's what the epitome of why bother?
Well, Oscar was generous and kind enough to be a last-minute replacement.
Oh, yeah.
When both Slick and I got fleeced, and Duke the Dumpster Drosy was hospitalized.
Is there any word on Duke the Dumpster? I
hate to use the word, say I spoke to him today, but we communicated today. He's doing a little better, so that's a good thing, and he'd like to be with us in the future, and I'd like to have him with us. He was around during a very interesting period of time when the company was pretty much at rock bottom.
Rebuilding.
Well, you could call it that.
Well, Berserker was in this, and he was supposed to be with us.
Well, unfortunately, Mr. Nord died. Ken Nord. But what a
God,
I don't know who the captain of the team would be. I guess Sheiky, baby.
Out of respect, Skinner, former Fabulous One, Steve Kern.
Hercules wasn't even supposed to be in this match. He took the place of Big Bully Busick.
Oh, now I believe. Oh gosh, this is his last few months in the company. Kerry Von Erich. He was gone by 92.
No, he was around into early 93.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
And then he.
Oh,
he,
maybe, well,
he was. I
he
think,
kind of came and went a few times, but maybe it was later in 92.
but I think he was dead a year and a half after this.
Yeah.
Sad. Such a shame. Such a shame. No, I've never heard a bad word spoken about Kerry Von Erich as a person. About his drug addictions, yes, but as a person, oh no.
And here comes.
Oh no. What did they do to my boy? Dan, what did they do to my boy?
Well,
They buried him.
You wanted Tito to wave that little matador flag at you?
No, but what
No.
do they do with my boy here? I mean, look at him. Look how painful he looks right now.
J.A. Nick Busick was a police officer in Atlanta? I thought I know he was from Pittsburgh. I didn't know he relocated. That's an interesting story. I never knew that. Well, Stone Roses, I don't know. I can't think of one good Kerry Von Erich match that didn't involve Mr. Perfect bouncing off of him like a ping pong. Here's another gentleman that was supposed to be with us last night at Memorial Hall, but he's recovering from prostate cancer surgery like a champ, along with one of America's heroes, Sergeant Slaughter, about a year off of hating the United States as an Iraqi sympathizer.
Solid 6-7 months, I think. Did he turn right after WrestleMania 7?
No. That went through SummerSlam.
Oh no, you're right. So it was right after this then. So he actually turned babyface.
Right in the fall, he started doing those promos around Washington, D.C., saying he wanted his flag back. The Iron Sheik at this point just wanted his name back instead of being Colonel Mustafa. But
did you know it was Iron Sheik at that point?
Here?
No.
I didn't meet Sheik until 2 years after this, in October of 93, when I broke in. You got to remember, I was only... I was only 11 years old for this.
But you saw him first as Colonel Mustafa, or do you see?
I saw him wrestle as the Iron Sheik on TV, but I didn't personally know him.
When he came back, did you say, "Oh, that's Iron Sheik"?
Of course.
Okay.
Roddy Piper said it when he was coming out. He's in his debut on TV. That's the Iron Sheik.
I gotta say,
they did the same thing and killed Saba Simba when Tony came out the first time.
That was Roddy Piper too, right?
Roddy Piper. That's Tony Atlas.
The thing about Piper is he only really ever got himself over. Piper killed everything. Except, he put over Brett at 8. But other than that, who the hell did he put over? He never wanted a job to anyone.
Isn't it sad that both the men that were in this match that were supposed to be with us last week, neither one of them were there for disappointing reasons?
I will say, thank God, most of the men in this match are still alive.
I'm going to say this. When you guys finally get the Berserker in this studio, you guys are going to love it, because I was really looking forward to it. J.A. Sheiky Baby went off the ledge long before that, but that sure didn't help. He was always, in his own way, he was always a great guy, too, especially to the fans. But, the added years of drug addiction didn't help. Tito Santana, El Matador, and Skinner going at it. I know Skinner was suggested as someone to join us in Tampa at Wrestle House 2 the first week of December when we returned to the Sunshine State.
Was he, he's originally a Florida boy too, isn't he, Kern?
I believe so, yep.
I believe he actually knew Hogan when he was, because I think him and Hogan, Skinner might be a little older than Hogan. Do you think Hogan was starting to lose his popularity around this time too? Late 91? That's kind of when the boom started?
Because he got exposed as being a fraud after that Arsenio Hall interview.
Well, what made him be exposed? The fact he just denied it? It's not like anyone could prove it. Well, how could you prove that he did it?
I think anyone with eyes could tell that's not how the average human being that lifts weights looks.
Well, people have to realize it's not like steroids were illegal this whole time. They were illegal up until 90 or 91.
Well, but at the same time, when you're marketing children's toys and vitamins and all these other things after the man.
Sheiky couldn't get out of his khaki pants. You know, Tito was in great shape. Kerry was in great shape at this point. Hercules,
And, you know, the sad thing is, Sheiky Baby probably would have had a longer run as Mustafa if it wasn't for the medicine. They tried to give him almost like Marty, every chance they could to keep him in the company, and the two of them just kept fucking it up.
who do you think who had more firings and hirings, Marty or Sheiky?
I think
Marty.
Sheik.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, bad bump on Berserkers. Now let's see what the okay.
I got to tell you, one of my guilty pleasures in life right now is talking to the Berserker on the telephone.
The guilty pleasure to you.
Oh, I've even said it to your new friend, Jam and Manolian. There were a couple of times when I was just so miserable and stressed out trying to get ready for this event. I'd text him and I'd say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call John Nord. And when he was home and he was able to answer, I'd always have a smile on my face by the time it ended.
Did you touch yourself during these conversations?
No, that it certainly did not happen.
You didn't.
I was not that berserk.
I didn't know if you were servicing yourself during these guilty pleasure
No, I
conversations.
did not. Well, you got to remember, Phil, when the Sheik managed the Sultan, he did have on a suit and I believe the curly boots. Here's a match about 6 years past its prime. Well, maybe not that much,
actually,
but-
you're right. Yeah, actually, Hercules looks really old with the mustache. I don't know what it is, but that.
Paul Romer had left the company. The glory was gone, and
What
he just
was-
had the power.
Paul Roma had this thing where he was. I guess he said he was supposed to get a singles push, but they were like, "We were going to take."
Please.
No, this is. I'm just going off what he said. Don't get your.
I'd love to see that interview.
I think he said something about we're going to take care of Herc. We're going to give you a big push, and he's like, "You're not going to take care of Herc." I don't know. Roma seems very angry about things.
He does.
Doesn't seem like a very.
He's a very feisty paisan.
I heard one of the people we had on November 13th had a little bit of a run-in with Rome at one point. Might have done some work on the microphone
People.
on November the 13th.
Last night, someone on the show had a run-in with him.
Yeah, earlier. Wait.
Oh! I was thinking of the '90s core of legends. Yes, they did.
He's had a problem with a few legends.
Paul wasn't as pleasant in the, I guess what you might call dispute as I was when
Funny enough,
the individual kind of
other legends
left
have had
us for a little bit.
other legends have had problems with this individual, including a tag team.
Yes,
I wonder if it's just the
it was a
individual.
nasty situation.
Yeah. What can you do?
Sheik would let guys in the gym handle the Persian clubs. One of my regrets is not trying them. Let me tell you, J.A., as someone that tried those Persian clubs, wow. A lot of power and a lot of discipline in Cheeky Baby. He had no discipline when it came to drugs and alcohol, but when it came to training and working out, my God.
Maybe not at this time in his life. But yeah, I heard
Khosrow Vaziri. Big giving us a little Jimmy Barnett. Now, this is the show, Joe, that Hogan said Undertaker almost broke his neck. As we'll see during the match, virtually impossible, but we'll see that come.
What
I
was
believe
that?
that's next
a
man.
push up by Sheik.
Cameraman, zoom in, please.
And these two spent some time together in that infamous arrest.
Yes. Yeah, May of '87 on the Jersey Turnpike. Duggan given a ride he really didn't even want to give. And he wound up going to jail and losing his job for the better part of 6 months.
Was he out 6 months?
Yeah, he was back by the end of '87 feuding with Holly Race.
Do you think he would have gotten a bigger push had he not had that incident?
No, I think he had a great push.
Well,
I mean, by '88, he was working main event around the house show loops with Andre. For quite a bit, Boston had that 3 times.
was he going over Andre on those, or they were DQ?
No. I mean, there'd be count-outs, DQs, but Andre really didn't do any jobs for anybody other than Hogan until the end with the Warrior. Now I'm amazed that Sheik even got up at that point.
I can tell you this, folks. The action wasn't like this on November the 13th. It was a little bit hot and
It was hotter and heavier.
hotter and heavier. A
The
little faster.
wrestlers may not have been as heavy, but
No.
this is almost indie level itself right here. Think of how many of these guys are even around in a year or so.
Slaughter was at the end of his run, was he?
Slaughter stopped working in mid-92 in WWF, and they turned him into a commissioner type. Sheik was gone. Berserker was gone in early 93. Hercules was gone in early 92. Skinner was done in mid-93 when they went the babyface route with Doink.
Infamously,
Duggan was gone in 93. Tito was gone in 93.
Yep.
Kerry Von Erich was really gone in 93.
Duggan was gone.
So the 10 years were wrapping up at this point. Amar, hello. Almighty One, how are you, my friend? I hope you're doing well. Yes, Joe, Skinner was the second Doink at WrestleMania 9 that interfered in the original Doink, Matt Bourne's match with Crush. And he did that probably through the summertime, because Matt was gone in September, early October. I remember, funny enough, you want to hear interesting for history, the only time those two Doinks ever teamed up, Matt Bourne and Steve Kern, was at Memorial Hall in Melrose at one of Tony Rumble's events in June of 1994.
Really? Did they team up as Doinks?
Yes.
2 Doinks. Wow.
And Kevin Sullivan worked. Who did he work on that show? But it turned into a giant issue with the woman. It wasn't Piggott, one of the former executives of the hall, that Kevin picked up some statue that was about 100 years old and went to, maybe it was Vic Steamboat, Ricky's brother. But the woman that ran the venue literally chased the two of them in their brawl around the venue to make sure that Kevin didn't use the statue. Now, I'd love to see Piggott get involved in something like that. Could you imagine the commentary that would come?
I think you have some sick fantasy of Piggott.
Well, I can tell you. Not that way. Sarge there.
Saw Captain Lou out in the hallway over there getting that payday.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Tonight?
Working. Still
Little
working.
hustling going on
Oh,
with Captain
great
Lou.
split by the Berserker. Do you see that move? That was great.
Yeah, it's too bad he didn't get a bigger run than he did.
Well, he almost
I
got
like the
leg kicked with a sword.
Berserker. I liked him as Nord the Barbarian as well, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know the reason why he left. We're gonna
Now,
have to find out when we have
what
him in
did he
studio.
do?
But
What did
he,
he-
I
Oh, great
mean,
bump.
big guy, take good bumps.
What did he
Maybe
do?
because business was dead, and for a guy at his level, probably wasn't making much money.
What did he do after he left WWF, I wonder?
His family owned a car business. You imagine buying a car from the Berserker.
Could you imagine him driving a car?
Well, Bob Orton also sold cars for quite a while.
Maybe there's like a natural correlation, wrestling to car salesman.
No. Read into that what you will.
Jeez. He kind of moved like a big puppy. Like he didn't really realize how big he was.
Oh, he's enormous.
I mean, look at him over Kerry Von Erich. Kerry Von Erich was not a small man.
Tito's not a small guy.
No, Tito was a solid 6 foot tall guy.
Much bigger than that.
Oh, really?
Not thick, but height-wise.
What's Skinner doing? Trying to get cop a feel off of Mr.
Oh, you bumped it. Wasn't it nice? Phil, I was so excited. I didn't even realize it was her. But at one point when Marty was here at the studio, I saw this somewhat familiar-looking face through a thumbnail. And I said, say it ain't so. And yes, it was. It was Smokey herself here at MWF Studios.
Nasty Nia.
No, I wouldn't say that.
But she was a very nice lady. She was very nice. It was good to spend time with Smokey.
Well, Amar, I hope I'm saying your name right, but greetings from Israel. I mean, greetings to you in Israel, I should say. We're We're here at downtown Melrose, Massachusetts, in the zip code of champions. I wouldn't cry too much, Almighty. Sarge was probably making a lot more money with G.I. Joe than he would have been with WWF at that point. He's a smart, smart man. I think John C's getting hammered in the other room. I keep hearing bottles falling over. What are you on, your fourth or your fifth, John? Second. All right, that's what he claims. Second of the hour. Don't forget, fans, the Super Chat is open for business. For all our hard work this weekend, please don't forget to tip the bartender, ladies and gentlemen.
Also, if you're 11, 13, you purchased something from John Cena Sr., first of all, I want to apologize. Second of all,
Why would you want to apologize?
Well, that goon, you know, he's always trying to work the people.
John Cena Sr.?
Oh, yeah, he's a worker, all right. He's always trying to work people.
Well, I have a lot I could say about the man, but that's not really one I'd throw in his direction, but you observed it. I wasn't there to see it.
Hey, brother. We
got the Fabo Pop. We got the hot sauce. We got the $1 million bills.
He gave a kid $1 million bill.
Well, considering they probably cost about 16 cents each to make, I don't think he was out too much. I'm trying to think. Someone in this match was a substitution too. If I remember right, Ricky Steamboat was supposed to be on the babyface team. Maybe that one wasn't announced.
Who removed that buckle?
I don't remember.
But you know who wasn't trying to work the fans? Our good friend Phil, who was there in attendance.
Phil was keeping an eye on things. He was an undercover spy.
Really was. And I'm really glad he was there because when I was going crazy, I could go to Phil and say hi and what's going on. And yet Phil was a calming presence.
Great big bump from the Berserker for Jim Duggan. He didn't sell it all that long, but
was that a clean
almost
sweep?
looks like he's dancing. He's so excited.
Clean sweep. Who would imagine this is the team they'd have a clean sweep for?
Not me.
But no, I want to say thank you, Phil, because Phil really was a big help to me.
Cena Sr. worked himself into a shoot. This Fabo Pop.
Well, Cena Sr. was taking care of business with Mr. Zagami. Dropped him like a bad habit off the nephew.
You'd like to get into a little bit of business with Mr. Zagami.
Maybe I would. What's it to you?
I don't remember Tuesday in Texas being $20. Sometimes the pay-per-views, it would vary by cable company to cable company as they'd set the prices. But I think in Boston it was a $12.95 job. Look at that big bump from the Berserker for Jimmy Duggan. Both of them should have been with us last night. One lost their dad and the other one prostate cancer surgery. It's unreal, but hopefully both of them will be with us Saturday night, April the 16th. The Berserker is confirmed for Soul Survivor 10, even though his greatest claim to fame would have probably be here in the 90s, is the Berserker, but he had a hell of a run as Nord the Barbarian, the protege of the late, great Bruiser Brody.
So quick question. So the April show is called Soul Survivor 10?
Yes, back to the 80s.
Did we just have Soul Survivor 9?
The last Soul Survivor we had was Soul Survivor 9. You are correct.
Which was yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh,
wait a minute. Jake the Snake. I forgot about this part. What a great heel. It's too bad. I mean, WWE, again, you talk about some of the people they lost.
That sweater gets heat.
Over the course of the next year or so. Jake Roberts, I think, is an underrated loss, even though he didn't leave due to, steroids and drug test failings.
I think they should have given him Pat's position like he was promised.
You couldn't trust him.
Trust him with what? Not to take drugs? Vince McMahon probably took drugs.
He wasn't doing the things that Jake was doing.
Well,
or as often.
I thought Jake, he was a great talent, and maybe he was better at getting himself over than other people, but at least give it a shot. I think he has a great mind.
I don't disagree. Well, I am looking forward to seeing Jake on Saturday night, April the 16th at Memorial Hall.
I think that'd be great.
maybe he could bring the Python with him, slide it into Pigot's office, and then shut the door.
Or just throw it at Pigot.
Pigot would probably kick the shit out of the Snake.
Now, are you going to be able to attend April 16th?
I have no idea what's going to happen with
They're
that.
probably going to have you on one of those America's Most Wanted by that point.
Well, I am on several milk cartons here in Melrose. But,
Now, who is
yep,
officially
you
signed?
remember Nord the Barbarian in the AWA. Almighty One, you remember that Judge Mathis episode I've referenced several times when the Berserker tried to pay off a woman that he owed money to in Berserker action figures that I guess she didn't want instead of the cash.
Well, who's officially signed for April 16th?
Those guys.
Well, if you could just reiterate for the people out there.
Well, as we announced last night, Jake the Snake Roberts, the three-time WWE Tag Team Champions, the greatest tag team in WWE history, in my estimation. Axe and Smash Demolition will be with us live. The Berserker, John Nord, will be there live, as we just saw here on Survivor Series 1991. A few others that have kind of given
Consideration?
confirmations without official confirmation. So the roster could be just about done.
And are you looking for a certain amount of numbers to fill?
I think 8 is a nice number for official guests for a VIP package like we have. The problem we run into with Slick is he needs to get home to Louisville in time for Mass on Sunday morning. So, you know, to do an event for him on a Saturday, how do you do it?
I mean, when we tried that night.
This week, when we ran into the dilemma we did with Slick, unbeknownst to him and I, with the other individual involved in this, you know, the latest flight, I think, to Louisville, we could even forget about the price, just time-wise, was like 6 o'clock, which means he'd have to be at the airport about 4. So how do you include him in the event?
So you think that would stop him from maybe getting into April's show? He can't.
I would say that's pretty safe.
He can't take one Sunday off?
No, he's got a contract with the church.
Wow. Church isn't very giving in
like
that
Father Jurgen Elias.
Who is Father Jurgen Elias?
He's a great friend of Boston Wrestling. He is a great spiritual advisor to yours truly. He is a Catholic priest, and he has a very special skill.
What's that?
Well, I'm sure as a man that has watched at least a little MMA in your life, you're familiar with the term ground and pound. He has a special clearance from the Vatican, as he came from another faith, to be a Catholic priest, that he is allowed to, I don't know if he grounds him first, but he's definitely doing some pounding.
Who's he pounding?
His wife.
Oh.
A lot of pounding going on.
Can you say that he has sex with his wife?
Yes.
Like an adult?
Well, you know, I like to have fun.
Yeah, apparently
a little
you do.
ground and pound action. Or as I like to say after he leaves, almost like with Brutus Beefcake, he likes to do a little bit of strutting and a little bit of cutting. I like to say there's a man who likes to do a little bit of praying and a whole lot of pounding. Father Jurgen Elias, ladies and gentlemen. A good human being, though. Nothing wrong with that. He got approval. I mean, it's not like he's committing a sin. Well, it's not like he has to go to...
Why weren't you there for NBC?
Huh?
Why weren't you there for the NBC channel? Were they there on the 13th? I was told that they were there, and I never saw them.
Everything they did, I guess, was in between the 2 live events.
Oh, God. I got there late, folks.
So you missed NBC. I can't wait to see the footage.
I missed it because someone had me doing some ridiculous last-minute errands, I want to say, to get the show together. Because Charlie had to come to the rescue. Again, the utility player that I am.
I know. I get to go and have all the fun.
I know. You do. I could have been on NBC, Dan. You took that moment away from me. I hope you can sleep at night.
Big, I don't remember this Jake story about Warrior. Matthew, you're always a welcome friend here. It's just, you know what? When it comes to wrestling-related deaths, that's a sensitive subject here. I know you may perfectly be coming at it from just a fun point of view, but that's just something, as someone that's been in this industry for so long, I'm very sensitive about. Hopefully you can at least understand that, even if you don't agree with it. You haven't done it to the point where we kicked you out, so you're still a welcome friend. But I missed that man right in the middle right there. He called this one of the great moments of his career. just 9 to 10 months after debuting with the company, to be standing there in between the Hulkster and the Nature Boy.
And look at the facial reactions of Bear. He's so disgusted by it all. The facial reactions he has are perfect. Just so disgusted. That's his character. And then, of course, this was a great angle.
What gets me is, like I said, they brought Flair in September of '91. I think he debuted as a television character, and he went through Piper, Hogan, and Savage in about 6 months.
Well, that I get, but why isn't he allowed to show that belt, even though, because now they own that belt?
It was the intellectual property.
It's still owned by Turner?
At this, no. Well, the real version of it was the intellectual property. Once it went the legal route, they had to. He'd use sometimes tag team titles, or they'd still superimpose it to make you think it was that belt, but he'd be using different replicas and so on.
Well, I just don't know, because now they own all that. They all own all those intellectual properties.
Oh, as far as when he was actually using the real WCW championship belt?
Right now, if you go on the network, why isn't that unpixelated?
Maybe it would take too much time and effort. Maybe the master copies.
Oh,
I don't know.
So wow, he's not even selling chair shots at this point still.
They built that man up like a mother.
And they would take the cross.
Mother, you know what?
What was a better looking belt to you, the World Wrestling Federation title or the big gold belt at this point?
Loved them both, but I was always partial to the WWF one.
But it's funny, they hit Taker with a chair and he doesn't sell it, but years later he would sell that. I think the
No, at that point he was still more like a zombie.
Well,
you are correct, J.A. I've heard as much as $25K. Charlie versus Reggie for the 24/7 championship.
Who's Reggie?
The 24/7 champion in WWE.
Reggie who?
Reginald.
Reggie
Former
V.
love
Fine?
interest of Nia Jax.
Oh.
Get the kid terrified of the Undertaker's entrance. Slow and methodical.
Were you terrified of the Undertaker at this point?
I was a little old to be terrified, but a little spooked. I think the original theme song he used was spooky. Is that Paul Bearer rock sign? I remember getting a kick out of that when I watched the pay-per-view. It's probably about as good as Paul Bearer was in physically in his WWE
I
run.
liked his Percy Pringle character with the blonde hair, though.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with it. Just certainly wasn't. I don't think he had anyone that fit Percy Pringle as Paul Bearer found with Undertaker.
This girl was very excited to see Hulk Hogan.
And then become Hulk Hogan as he began his beach ball deflation era.
He was still pretty big up until
Still
early
pretty
92.
big, but if you go and compare him to SummerSlam and compare him to WrestleMania, and
starting to slow.
it's all right. It was his own personal
I can tell you this:
choice.
WrestleMania 8, he's much smaller than him.
Yes. Never mind WrestleMania 9.
Oh my 9, he's like the
When he looked like
lean-
he was a popsicle in a freezer that broke.
Now, how can they put this on in the middle? They didn't want to put it on the main event.
Send the fans home happy.
And Hogan was. I mean,
Plus,
Hogan.
they also wanted to announce the main event for the pay-per-view on Tuesday. So
Well-
that would be kind of tough to do
Okay.
if it went on last.
Well, Warrior was gone by this point.
Yes.
Now, do you think the Warrior Vince thing was more Warrior's fault or Vince's fault?
Well, I mean, you could go look at it. All of them are underpaid, even now, with what they pay the talent compared to what they take in on a percentage basis.
Because I believe Warrior had.
But Warrior, you know, he could have gone about a lot of things in a different way, not to be so difficult to work with.
Yeah. And they brought him back. And I think they were going to even put the title back on him again in 92. They were thinking about it, I think.
I don't remember that.
I mean, Brett says that that Vince told me he was going to wrestle Warrior and Rumble 93 and have him beat him in the sharpshooter, which I laughed at when I heard that. I don't think that was going to happen. I think Vince made that up, to be honest.
What?
He told Brett when he won the title in 92, we're going to have you face Warrior at Rumble 93, and you're going to beat him with the sharpshooter.
Oh, I'm sure Vince would have liked that to have happened.
But I don't know. I wouldn't have done that to beat Warrior unless Warrior's going to leave. Though there is that match on YouTube.
I'm sure they had to suspect that Warrior was on something, even if he was passing tests.
Well, a month after Brett wins the title, Warrior's let go with Davey Boy for drugs. So they might have known going down that pike something was going to happen with Warrior. And Warrior and Vince may have been on bad terms anyway. Hell, you could have looked at it like Warrior was probably always going to be on a short-term deal. You know, I don't think Vince ever looked at Warrior as the long-term solution after a certain point. Though I'm sure.
Well, no, I mean, as late as 97, he was offered a 5-year deal. So
I mean, but then again, I think if you ask Vince McMahon in 1990, hey, Ultimate Warrior, he's the guy for the 90s. He's going to be the next 6-7 years.
Well, he was younger. He was better looking. He had more hair. I'd say his entrance would have a pretty close to Hogan's, maybe if not as strong as Hogan's.
Yeah, I think he would have been the guy for the 90s.
Hogan was interested in endeavors outside of WWF at that point. He wanted to work a part-time schedule, which I definitely know WWF was not fond of. So, I mean, he had a great run, and they just thought maybe it was time to try and go a little younger. Backlund did his 6 years. Hogan, you know, his first championship run was just a tad over 4, but the company revolved around him for, you know, the first 8 WrestleManias for the most part. Even Bruno's big run was talking about 10 before he needed to take a break. Yeah, you're right, Jen. No, Warriors, from a wrestling point of view, there wasn't much in the gas tank. Just a lot of gas.
He got smaller.
I missed that comment, Lazy Bum. Where did you see that Vince said he thinks all of his current talent is overpaid? Yeah, Easy, you're not 100% wrong. They didn't do a great job in having a great crop of opponents for Warrior because they had him go over everybody on the way up to beat Hogan, which is why they had to do the retro feud of him and Rude from a year before. And, you know, Mr. Perfect, who had a failed main event run against Hogan not too long before that. And that was more of a house show series of matches. But no, there wasn't much.
I would say this was probably one of the last WWF golden era rock and wrestling connection era pay-per-views.
I would say that ended at WrestleMania 6, in my personal opinion.
Okay, so what do you count in that 91, 90 era? Because to me...
What do I count? What do you mean?
Well, like that new generation era when does that start? Late 92?
They started to use the phrase new generation in 94, but by late 90, they realized they had a problem with staleness. And that man right there is part of the repackaging of the company.
Oh, did you message Dennis Brent?
No.
You probably should.
I'm still waiting to watch this Thursday's pay-per-view. Wait, look, there's Dennis Brent again.
Starrcade 92 will be our pay-per-view.
And then I'm going to say, no, I'm going to send him a message.
Are we going to be able to get through all the Survivor Series and Starrcade? Well, not all of them, but probably to a certain point.
It would be very difficult if we're doing them weekly.
And technically, Survivor Series,
all of them.
by the time we get to December, people who don't want to see another Survivor Series. Starrcade's still a little topical for, December.
Yeah. That's what John C. said, is he's on about his 7th at this point.
Is there any pay-per-views you want to see in December?
Oh, John C.'s got many favorites on the DVD collection at home.
But I think December, I still think Starrcade, and I think maybe an Armageddon or one of those things. But if we're talking classic pay-per-views, I'm really thinking. I mean, they had a couple In Your Houses in December.
Not many, but well, no, actually, no, that's incorrect. They only had 2 before. Well, no, wait a minute.
They had one in '95. They had one in '95 with Brett and Davey Boy.
95, 96. I think 97 it was still called. I think In Your House. I think they did away with In Your House in 98 as far as
Seasons
the name
Beatings,
goes.
I think it was called.
Huh?
Seasons Beatings was one show.
Probably. I don't remember the names of all of them. They were just $14.99. I agree with you, Jen House, on the 24/7 title. I can't come. Well, who knows what the reality is on what Dean Ambrose makes other than Dean and the company that he works for.
What do you think about Adam
I remember
Page?
when Lesnar left WWF in 2004, they said in the media that he was walking away from a $49 million contract, which I found great amusement in, me being me. A little on the north
billion.
side. What's that?
49 million?
Yes.
Who came up with that number?
I think they confused him having a 7-year contract at $1 million each as him having a contract for 7 years at $7 each.
Okay. I don't think even he's making $7 million a year now, is he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is he? Well, Brock Lesnar has had a bigger run now than he has in his first run. It's amazing.
The money he's made for such little he's done, it's been masterful negotiating. Mike Burkhoff and Quincy. Now, what does that mean? What about him? He was wild last night. Now, did he have the leopard skin on?
I didn't see that, but I did meet his sister.
Julie Earl was there?
Well, she dropped him off.
Oh, and
so
where were you?
So, okay, here's the story. I'm inside trying to keep the order in this wild western town.
And then of all people to show up.
And of all people, Quincy comes coming down and he goes, hello, I need to know if we're going to have a ride. Am I going to have a ride? He's shaking my hand too, squeezing my hand.
Now, did he recognize you, or are you just the first person he's... What's that?
Not motorcycle leather.
Is that what he was saying?
Yeah.
So
it was only 60 degrees yesterday, but who's
the rain.
counting?
But anyway, he says to me, am I going to be able to have a ride? Can I tell my sister that she can go home now? I said, Quincy, we'll get you a ride somehow. Okay, can you tell my sister that?
Oh.
Where is she? She's outside, so he brings me out in the rain, right? And then we finally find her car, and she's driving with someone, I guess her husband, I'd imagine. And she goes, hi, I'm Quincy's sister. I'm like, hello, Quincy.
Julie Earl.
Julie Earl. And I say, oh, her name was Julie. I say, hi, Julie. Quincy we're happy to have Quincy with us today. And he's like, just looks
shaking his hands.
He's just like standing there like a drenched rat. Okay.
Oh, it was raining at this point.
Raining hard. And so we're talking. I said, he will be home at some point. He's like, oh, he doesn't need a curfew. And he goes, I don't need a curfew. I'm a grown man.
Is that what? Now, did she look like him?
No.
Not at all.
Not at all. Pretty lady. Didn't look like
what color hair? Do you remember that?
Blonde.
I've never met them.
Dirty blondish, maybe?
Dirty blonde, really?
Maybe highlighted blonde? I don't know.
Julie Earl.
We walked back in. Quincy sat down with Phil the entire show, and oh God, Quincy, I was hoping he'd fall into the sewers. To be honest, we were outside.
Oh, will you be nice?
You say the same things.
I know, but I know. Do I take Cash App? I think we have PayPal, Venmo. What else? What else do we? Super Chat we take here. I'd pay $50 for a 6-sign photo, believe it or not. His autograph is hard to come by. You want a Quincy autograph picture?
How about one from Piggott? Piggott 8 by
Well,
10.
if you look up Charlotte Ray on eBay, there's probably a few of them.
How about you buy her one for her Christmas and send it to her office?
Anonymously. I don't look like Charlotte Ray. Undertaker with that big clothesline. But I was very happy that John C. said that Piggott was kind to him yet last night.
Well, it wasn't like she was mean to anyone. Not that I saw.
I'm still interested to know why she was roaming around taking pictures.
Maybe she wanted to
Is
use
she
some
a
material.
voyeur?
Use some material for later.
Huh?
Maybe she wanted some material for pleasuring herself later.
Well, was she taking pictures of the guys or?
I think just random people.
Screaming Baboon says, I want a naked Quincy and Piggott size 8 by 10.
Screaming
Them
Baboon
locked in an embrace. So that
See-
would be.
and an embrace, huh?
Yeah, J.A., that's who Piggott looks like, is Charlotte Ray of The Facts of Life. Look at the Hulkster. Paul Bearer selling it like $1 million.
This was when Taker started getting tattoos too around this time.
Oh, I hear the chuckle of Lou Dater in the other room.
Yeah.
Getting hustling his little payday. It's all right. Captain Lou loves to hustle. That's all right. It's part of his charm.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
The power of the envelope.
I'm pretty sure Captain Lou's gonna kill you.
Lou
one day.
Data.
Lou Day's gonna kill you one day.
It's interesting that Flair did a run-in with his robe on. Did he think people wouldn't recognize him without it? I don't know how Earl Hebner didn't see Flair at that point, from that vantage point, but Tony Gurria on the headset. Big boot from the Hulkster. Could this be it? Oh, Paul Bearer.
Oh, that should be disqualification.
And here we go, where the Hulkster has his neck broken.
And he happened to wrestle that 6 days later with a broken neck.
Well, even though he missed the chair by a good 6 inches.
I
That was
heard
a
earlier
severe
on, though,
injury.
I heard early on, and we saw it last week. Undertaker was spiking dudes on their heads.
The Hulkster was not one of them.
Technically, that should have been a rope break. His foot was underneath the rope, wasn't it?
I don't think it hit it, though.
Well, I always think if it's underneath the rope, it should count.
Is it true Quincy drinks 8 gallons of milk a day? I bet you he drinks at least a good gallon. That's his favorite drink here at the studio on Thursday nights. Hopefully, Quincy will be there live.
Undertaker had to be kind of geeking out a little bit, knowing he was the WWF World Champion for 6 days.
What's that now?
He had to be a little freaked out knowing that a year into the company and maybe 5 years in the business, 6 years in the business, he was WWF World Champion. Because it really meant something back then. You know, it really
Yeah.
it had to be a little cool moment for him.
Chris, once we have those photos from Slick, I might be able to hook you up on that. We're going to be getting a package of love from the Doctor of Style. It is religious, I guess church would be the way to put it. I'm not 100% sure what religion it is. Oh, J.A. Well with the little history lesson on the Hulkster. The history in that ring: Patterson, Gurria, Goulet, Danny Davis, even victorious at WrestleMania 3.
Rene Goulet, a.k.a. Wurzel.
The Chief. You know, a very rare title change for its time. That guy dressed up as the Hulkster in the front row, almost in tears. Oh, there's that other idiot that keeps standing up.
You really don't like him at all, do you?
No, I don't.
He's the biggest heel on the show to you.
Yes, a little heat with them. Pat Patterson, very colorful. Almost looked like a little Hulkamaniac under that green blazer.
I like the green on him. And the sneakers, too. I hate that when people wear sneakers with suits. Oh,
Well, that was kind of the staple of the wardrobe for the agents back then.
well,
I don't know if it maybe to make them feel a little bit more athletic or in case they had to do a run in. It might be hard with shoes. Hulkster doesn't know where he's at right now.
he just knows he broke his neck.
He's trying to think of what work he can come up with.
Oh, jeez. That's the camera angle they wanted?
Bret Hart calls them stooges. I wonder if that was the same kid crying when Undertaker came out.
Imagine being a kid, you see Hogan win all the time, then you go to a match and he loses.
That one's really upset. Doesn't even want to look. Either that or he saw Piggott coming out of the office.
Are you ever going to stop with this Piggott nonsense?
No, not until the situation is resolved. I want answers and I want a resolution, damn it.
Well, when do you think you're going to get that? April
Probably
16th?
tomorrow, now that the event's over. I'd love to have Bret on the show, Big. He's just tremendously expensive. And unfortunately, we don't have enough people on patreon.com/Boston Wrestling getting that early full screen access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, the studio shoot interview DVDs, Patreon exclusives, and so much more as we get ready to head back to Tampa in just 16 days, I think we figured out. I need it. I need it desperately. Will you be there?
Well, I got to talk to my manager. I'm going to see her tomorrow.
Yeah.
Going to see her tomorrow. She's
You know-
out all week.
Baboon, I'm actually going to ask Marty. Because I'm interested to know if there was any Oh, Phil said yes, he did. But Marty, did you? I'd like to know if they had any interact with Piggott last night.
Anything funny?
Poor Piggott. For a guy with a broken neck, the Hulkster ain't moving that bad.
How would you feel if you had a nice dinner by romantic candlelight with Piggott?
Oh. I thought you were inviting me to one. No, I don't. I'd probably. Well, I see. I have to worry about after the nonsense that has gone on with City Hall. I have to worry about everything I say. I was just going to come back with one of my quick-witted comebacks that gave no thought to that filter of think it, say it.
You've been saying all kinds of things about Piggott today.
This one wasn't all that pleasant, but. Oh, Hot Rod's worked up, still sweaty from his match a good hour and a half ago. I guess he didn't hit the showers yet. He wanted to watch the show.
Yeah, it might have been a little bit of a pre-tape or.
Yeah, Chris, that sounds about right. I mean, that's a lot of dough for us to drop. I want to know if Marty ran into her. Now you guys get me interested. I'm trying to think, was Roddy Piper on this Tuesday in Texas? I don't think so. He had 2 strong matches, and then the rest was kind of mid-undercard type stuff.
What era in WWF do you think had the best mid-card? I want to say maybe.
I think that the generations that were generally good. The 80s had a good mid-card.
I'm going to say the 2000s.
Huh?
The 2000s I thought had a good mid-card. I thought they had a good mid-card. The 90s, it was real kind of.
Just if you go back and look at the house show lineups, how filled and thick they were. If they had a good roster to work with, the mid-card was generally strong. If they didn't, it was pretty much top-heavy, and that's about it. Bring Quincy to Tampa. They can share a room with him.
How much would it take to bring Quincy and to feed Quincy with all that milk and bugles? Guys,
and see, the thing is, he'd want a payday on top of it.
He's a hustler, guys.
He really is. And he's growing. That pouch of his is growing bigger. Went from a Newt to a Christie. Oh, wait a minute. John C. is running to the back.
John C., quick question.
Huh?
You think he'll ever fill out that 5XL coat?
I think the bottom of his chest could. The rest of him, no. It does not need a 5X.
Did Captain Lou leave?
Yes, he got his, I'm sure, got his payday and hit the road. Got to put my 10-year-old to bed. School night. Well, Phil, it was a pleasure to for you to join us. Thank you for being with us last night. You can give Quincy your best on Thursday, as he'll be with us live as we watch Starrcade 92. Marty, I'm not sure about, but I will send along the best from Eric Clapton, as he likes to call you. Dan, he was on the card. He worked the damn dark match for that. Well, that doesn't mean that he was on it, Brian. We worked the dark match. That was at a big TV taping anyway. Michael Landon's real name is. Well, I never knew that about Michael Landon.
I had some big teeth.
Nature Boy's frothing at the lips almost. He hated Hulkamania.
God, look at that sun-spotted head.
That is a sun-spotted head, if you've ever seen one.
Kind of a lot of title changes for WWF. You think about it. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 different champions in 91. That was kind of a lot for them at that time.
Yeah.
Now, not really, but back then.
Well, they've been better in recent years about the World Championship.
I mean, the Attitude Era. People say, "Oh, the Attitude Era." The Attitude Era, they flip-flop the belts a lot.
Yes, and I that's one thing I never liked.
I don't mind it. Sometimes it's fine for a guy to have a belt for a few weeks, but generally a title reign, I think, should last at least a couple months to maybe upwards of a year or more, depending on the person. Wouldn't you agree, Dan?
What was that again?
I say I don't think it's bad to have the title flip-flop every few weeks once in a blue moon, but typically a guy should hold it for at least a couple months.
Yeah, a couple months.
At least, depending on the guy.
Matt, I don't think we've done a Royal Rumble 92 watch-along. Maybe we'll get to that in the month of January when everybody's cold and at home, and if we're not having blizzards outside, we'll hook everything up and have some fun. The one thing that would help with that, ladies and gentlemen, is that world-famous Super Chat button that is calling your name under the Premier Chat. I don't want to drop a subtle hint or anything. 92 may be my favorite Rumble.
Yours?
Yeah. Paul, what is your dream match for me? Brian, I never minded the little 5-minute intermissions on the pay-per-view. Different. Mike Burkhoff, which in your house should we do the watch-along for? All of them or specific ones or? Yeah, Chris Steves, I agree with you. J.A. Will, how you doing, brother? You're a man's man if I've ever met one, unless you're not a man. But as far as I know, you're a man's man, a good friend of the show. We thank you kindly for helping the cause. Now, if we could only get about 1,000 more of those, Wrestle House 2 would be covered. All of the great episodes and great content we're going to be taping down there in just a little over 2 weeks. We're going to have announcements in the coming days about what superstars are going to be joining us at the Wrestle House. It is going to be a happening. I know John C. is trying to even figure it out, but we were going to try and put him in a bag, one of the suitcases, but his hair would stick out the side. It'd be a little tough.
Gotta straighten it.
Dream match would have been Dusty Rhodes versus Hogan. I think the two of them wrestled in Japan once.
They might have something in the United States in the late 70s, but I'm not sure.
I don't know if they would have been in the same place at the same time. I could be wrong.
Road Warriors, they were kind of at the end of their run. They had less than a year left, right?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of at the end of their primes, too. Oh,
I don't
Adam
know if
Lou is
I'd go
out.
that far. They weren't very old at this point. I don't even know if they would have been 30.
I don't even think Bossman was 30 yet. I think Hawk was 30 and Animal might have been about 30. So yeah, they were about.
Well, it's sad that Road Warrior Animal was supposed to be with us last night at WrestleFest, but and you know what, Big J, helping the cause too. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it kindly. Salute to you and all your team and Boston Wrestling MWF. Look at that. Oh, that's popcorn. I thought that was a strange looking hit. Whoa, D! Baby, now this is the way you're going to get more and more and more and more watch-alongs, brother. You know, we're ready to hold up the sign. We'll work for food some weekends when we're here, but thank you so much. D, do we know you? Or are you a relative newcomer to the world of Boston Wrestling MWF? Paulie,
Thank
did
you,
that
D.
match actually take place, or is that like a dream match for you? Odd to see the main event of this show turn into a 6-man tag as opposed to an 8-man.
Well,
A little odd. You're bored with it apparently, but that's all right.
it was sleepy.
Mean Gene, a little worked up. I think Tony had on the same tie now as he did in the announcement he made at the beginning of the show that was supposedly weeks ago.
Has there been anyone reaching out to you after the 11/13 show, talent-wise, to talk about the great event that we had?
Sting is 10. Thank you so much. Where have you guys been hiding for so long? Love from Boston Wrestling. If you knew the shit we had to put up with this weekend, just wait until you see the documentary that Lou Dater and I have been working on. Believe me. Matt Karcher, I agree with you. Tremendous, tremendous chemistry between Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon. D, well, you don't speak a heck of a lot unless my memory is really drained from this past weekend. No, Brian, they did the tag matches for many Survivor Series after this. I tried to super chat. It wouldn't let me send. Well, I'm not quite sure why, Mike, but you're welcome either way. It's just we can always use the help to put together something like Wrestle House 2. You're talking about airfare, the actual Wrestle House, the guests that are going to be coming to join us, trying to get all the equipment down there, all the printing that goes into it. All is part of the Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. It is a lot of work. Rent a car. I'm told one day that the gentleman would like to go to Disney World. Maybe I'll take a picture with the little Mickey ears on my head for your enjoyment. You think I should do that?
Well, I mean, it might look pretty cute with both.
Yeah, you think maybe Peggy could get one with Minnie Mouse and her and I could get one together?
Well, it's always something to try out. I think Piggott would look great with her little ears.
There we go. A tag team Survivor Series matchup. Bo and Blake, the Beverly Brothers. I think this is after they were with the Genius. Well, maybe it was it before. I'm so tired. I don't even remember. Nope, they're with the genius. I apologize. Lanny was supposed to be with us originally and what was supposed to be a Back to the 80s celebration, but he's a man that is enjoying himself in Ecuador in more ways than one. Now, could you see Piggott coming out with the Nasty Boys now that you've
She is nasty.
Could you see her in one of those long black leather coats?
I think so. What are that haircut? Those haircuts? How would you feel if she shaved
Now,
her head?
did she still have the walk like an Egyptian haircut last night?
She was very blonde. But
But was it kind of straight and down to about the ears?
It was down about here.
Oh, it was long. Piggott was looking to be a little seductive last night at Back to the 90s WrestleFest.
Is she married?
Yes.
If it ever goes something, you guys should hook up.
Well, I still am amazed that someone with that last name wouldn't drop it once they got married. What do you think, John C? How long was the hair last night?
I think she got it styled.
So it's not that Egyptian look that you used to have.
No, it's not like the Cleopatra.
See, you know what I'm talking about. There's another gentleman that was with us last night in Melrose, Bushwhacker Luke. Spoke very highly of John C, as a matter of fact. Bushwhacker Luke ready to light things up at Survivor Series yet again. Bushwhackers always seem to find their way onto the Survivor Series. That one wanted his head licked. I would like to have seen Luke lick Piggott. I still want to know what these pictures were she was taking. See, he's a machine, you know. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts alive. The facts alive.
Someone else was here.
It's too bad I shouldn't see. I got to watch my mouth again. Got to keep watching my mouth. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty in their final pay-per-view together.
Even Marty's starting to look a little. Don't worry. Sean's starting to even look a little heelish. The way he's making those faces.
Well, they were preparing. They were grooming him. No, Marty Jannetty, another superstar that was with us last night. Very good spirits. It was nice to have that version of Marty with us, as opposed to some of the other versions.
No, Marty was great. He was on his A game.
Knobs and Sags were with us in studio a little less than a year ago. Well, if Slick has 8 children and 23 grandchildren, he really is spreading love, so to speak. Yes, it is, Brian.
What do you think about the Beverly Brothers?
I would have loved to have seen the Sheep Herders, but I couldn't have seen them in the World Wrestling Federation. That's for sure. What did you say?
What did you think about the Beverly Brothers? They don't really get talked about much. They were a decent team.
They were a fine mid-card team. There was nothing about them that really made them stand out. They really weren't a great promo.
Not a tag team champ worthy.
No. Colorful.
In this era, I think they would be.
What's that?
In this era, with a good manager, I think they definitely would be.
In 2021?
With a good manager, I think they could put them at tag belts.
No, at least they'd be a tag team. I mean, they'd be probably so much taller than the rest of them.
Well, they looked good physically. They had good gear.
You think if Piggott had the chance, she'd do like the armpit thing? That the Nasty Boys did to me?
Well,
like punishment?
I think that Piggott would enjoy it.
The Nasty Girl.
You have such a direction for this.
Knob, Sags, and Piggott. The Nasty. Oh, God. I hate that woman. Hopefully, Brian Knobbs is doing better. I saw a video of him on his social media. Probably within the past week, he's doing better. I know ring announcer Matt Degnan was hoping for the opposite.
I said to Sacco, and again, Sacco, I don't know what it is. He's not a prick, but he's not a very friendly guy. He just says, I said, hey, I bet you did a good job. I bet the Nasty Boys would have been, if they were here, it would have made you even happier. And he says, I don't give a fuck. Like he was just very
You don't want to talk about it.
yeah, he's just like it's almost like he was like assaulted by them, which I guess he probably was.
Well, with the Sharpies, he was. Lazy bum, what do you mean Jim Cornette gets all juiced up when he talks about the Beverly Brothers? Tommy Rich didn't have a run with the WWF because they never wanted him. Either that or he was under contract if there was ever a time they did, but
I don't know if Tommy Rich, right?
yeah, the wildfire.
I love Tommy,
Rich.
but I don't think he would have done well in the WWF at that point. Especially like 88 on. I don't.
If you look at a guy like a Ronnie Garvin or Sam Houston,
would have had a very lower mid card run.
Very low. Dan, who was the? Oh, Chris, I got 3 I could throw at you. Who was the most difficult legend last night? When we're saying that Marty was one of the better ones, what does that tell you?
Do you want me to take that, or do you want to go?
You think we should save it for the documentary we're working on, or do you think?
I'll tell them right now.
I think the fact that we're telling them 3 really narrows it down.
Well, I'll say this: Marty was great, Bushwhacker Lou was great, and the rest you can kind of figure out on your own.
You take
is that safe to say?
You take the bad, you take them both, and there you have.
But let's just say one was blazing a trail of horror in our way.
Blaze a trail.
See,
I gotta watch my tongue.
And the other one was a bit on a mission.
Well, Oscar's been on a mission for quite a while. Tomorrow night, you guys, for all you Wrestling Insiders Monday Night Mission fans, we're not going to have a podcast version of the program. Oscar is going to be in studio for you right after WWE Monday Night Raw. So there you go. Something a little different to look forward to.
Live in studio?
No. It's already been taped.
Oh, no, he's already been flown.
Yes, I think Oscar is back in Hotlanta.
Oh, geez.
John C., how many have you had, brother? He's either in there banging women or dropping bottles. How many are you on? See, I want to see some fingers. Still 2? All right. Well, you know what, Lazy Bum? I think as far as his life goes, he's actually doing pretty good. And I'm glad for that. Well, that's one way to put it, Mike. We're all entitled to our opinion. I would have liked to have seen the Beverlys have a little bit of a run with the Rockers. Not much.
Nice knee by Michaels. Now, do you think Sean had already surpassed Marty as a better worker at this point? It's been said that...
Who?
Sean. Do you think Sean was better than Marty at this point? He was getting there.
I'm going to say no.
But Marty was always, I think, as good in the ring as Sean, but Sean had maybe the promo ability over Marty.
Well, Sean was taller. I guess you could say better looking, more of a promo. You know, Marty kind of has that southern drawl.
I wouldn't say better looking. I'd give you height.
Well, you'd know better than I would, but
no, I think they're both just about good-looking guys. I mean, I think the best-looking guy out of that whole era was probably Brett.
John C. is sneaking Annie into the booth. Now, would you take that service from Annie, John? He's thinking about it. All right, I guess it depends on how many bottles he had. The original Sheik said he walked in on Tommy Rich on his knees with Jim Barnett.
The original Eddie Farhat?
Yes.
Wonder what they were doing.
Well, if it was Vince McMahon Sr., maybe it could have been to see if he had any quarters to jingle, but I'm going to guess that wasn't what was going on. Oh, J.A., let me tell you, brother, I've heard some interesting tales. I would tend to not be shocked if that was true. Do you agree, gentlemen, Chris Adams is the originator of the super kick? Well, as someone that started to watch wrestling in this is that asshole again. I don't really remember anyone doing it before him. I remember being an impressive kick.
It might have been, he did a little bit differently, right? The judo kick.
The gentleman.
Yes.
The gentleman, Chris Adams.
Yes.
I don't think anyone will ever use that nickname for me.
You're more of a caveman.
I'm more of a caveman?
The way you act and everything.
A caveman? Am I a caveman, ladies and gentlemen? We have 54 people watching with us live right now. Am I a caveman? Don't forget the world-famous Super Chat button is open. And 16 nights, We head back to the Sunshine State, Tampa, Florida. We have, I don't know how many legends we have lined up, but we're going to be doing it for
Scott Armstrong did the
5
super
or 6
kick.
days.
Scott Armstrong did the super kick as well. This is saying, or has
The
a machine.
book by Jim Wilson, Chokehold, is very good and very underrated. I'm sure a lot of people have no idea who big Jim Wilson was, not to be confused with Charlie Wilson from the 70s was, but a very good book, I thought.
I'm not very big either. I'm a smaller man.
That's what Harvey said. But, you saw Bob Armstrong use the super kick. All right, well, was it as quick as a bullet?
Scott. I think it's Scott Armstrong.
Well, Bob Armstrong was their father.
Yes. I thought
Do they mean Scott?
I think it said Scott.
Well, it says Bob when I'm reading from J.A. Will, unless my eyes are deceiving me as I read it again. I haven't read Chokehold. I remember reading Chokehold. It was so long ago. I was at a Marty South down in Florida when I lived.
Oh, there's a super kick right there.
Super kick of his own from the Rocker. I got to ask you guys that are with us right now, do you still enjoy the Party with Marty every Thursday night at 10 p.m.? Would you like to see the show take a little hiatus, a little break? Would you like to see it end? I'm interested in your thoughts. Some different thoughts have been shared recently. And who would you like to see replace him? Someone in the MWF Boston Wrestling family now? Like I said, we have a plethora of guests coming your way through the end of 2021 into 2022. Steve still loves the Party with Marty. Quincy, we could probably do live on Thursday nights if you really wanted them. Could you imagine Quincy live after dark at 10?
No.
Talking about Al?
If he comes up for a second, says hello, but that's about it.
I'd see. Annie would be a very interesting guest for a few episodes. Special guest hostess.
I would love a certain guest, but you won't go for it.
Now, who is that?
I would love our good friend Phil to come on set one day.
Phil has been on set many times.
But
as he's putting, I think he already put his children to bed. It was
I would talk about his fandom. He's such a knowledgeable fan.
Eric Clapton, as some call him.
Some would call him, yes.
I'd like to see more highlighted clips from Party with Marty. Well, that was kind of sad, Big. I don't know if I'd want to go that route, but if you guys want
that was a big bump.
If you guys want the Party with Marty to continue, maybe we have to find a way to make it happen. I don't know. It's getting expensive. You know, Marty sometimes can be absolutely fantastic to have with us in studio.
Like yesterday,
other times it is just
great.
It's a tough day at the office.
Yesterday, I have to say this one way. From the time I picked him up to the time I dropped him off, he was fantastic.
I didn't get to see much of him, but when I did interact with him, I wish we had that Marty every time because I'd want him around a lot more, so much more. And you know what? And it's good for him to be in.
But to be fair, Dan, a lot of times Marty would start that way, and by the time it would end, it was a different Marty.
Yeah, it was like the snowball going down the mountain, turning into something much bigger. I asked Brutus Beefcake if live show and then well, Brutus wrote I wouldn't call it a chapter, but a little segment of his autobiography was dedicated to the romance of Annie and Greg Valentine in his book.
Was it a little line or two?
No, it was a couple of pages.
He talked about Greg getting his ass eaten for 2 pages?
I don't.
Did they make love? Did they have sex?
It was a very intimate relationship. It's funny enough, and I don't think you were here for it, but when Medusa was with us on Friday, I had to bring up the fact that Greg Valentine no-showed his appearance with us because of her being at the Cauliflower Alley Club.
Now, were they together?
And then Annie came up in conversation, and I guess she didn't know anything about the ass eating.
Was Medusa involved with Mr. Valentine?
Yes.
That is hilarious to me on the several levels.
Why is that?
Well,
Maybe that's why he's had a frown on his face for so
well,
long.
I just feel like the fact that you would be with Greg Valentine alone is hilarious to me. Second of all, if Greg liked
You don't think Greg has a lot of charm?
well, maybe not only Greg has a lot of charm, but let's just say that he enjoyed Annie's pleasure so much that maybe Medusa did some of the same thing. I'm not talking out of school, ladies and gentlemen.
Really?
But maybe Medusa likes to be a little bit more.
I think maybe that's why they started in WWF. Her ring name started with an A.
It's possible.
We're not talking about.
If I wish I had the ability to ask Medusa that. I'm like, is it possible that during your time with Mr. Valentine that you two were a little bit more intimate in other ways?
A little variety.
A little variety, a spice of life. But I don't know if she would have been so forward with me.
No, I don't even think she appreciated the very gentle way I brought it into the conversation.
You know what you could at least say? At least I didn't fuck Greg Valentine.
And then there's that. I never saw Greg's hammer. But I do have to say this.
You think it took him 20
When it's
minutes?
all said and done.
Do you think it took him 20 minutes to get warmed up through the act?
Probably.
Yeah, okay.
I thought her interview was very nice. I will say that. I think the Medusa interview was very good.
How long was the interview you had with her?
Probably on par with most of them. Probably about 40, 50 minutes, maybe somewhere in that vicinity.
Hey, look at this. Ja Will says once ran into Kendall Windham at a Wendy's airport.
At a Wendy's airport.
Probably an airport with a Wendy's.
Oh,
he said, I once ran into him at a Wendy's airport. He was a jerk.
You should have told him to make some more counterfeit money with his father.
Kendall Windham had a little bit of a run in WCW, I think, with the West Texas Rednecks. And
he was around the NWA even in the late 80s before they went to jail.
I mean, his brother's arguably one of the greatest workers of all time that I've ever seen.
Moving around in there again. Is he headed to the break room? See what's in the fridge.
Do you think he was paying with counterfeit bills at Wendy's?
Could have been. Depends on the year.
What was that, 89, 88? When were they doing that?
It was right around the time he left his Widowmaker. So later in 89.
Did they go to prison, both him and Blackjack?
Yeah.
Wow, how much time did they spend in prison?
I don't think too long. I wonder how disappointed the guy in the Hulk Hogan t-shirt is in the front row dressed like him.
How many more times do you think our friend stands up?
To think at this point, when you were watching as a fan, would you have ever thought that the Nasty Boys and the Rockers were roommates in a one-bedroom apartment in Memphis?
Oh, yeah, that was one of the stories that...
One of Marty's many stories on The Party with Marty. I agree with you, Matt. I'm sorry. I think if Widowmaker had stayed around, he would have made a pretty good opponent for Ultimate Warrior in post-WrestleMania 6 when they lacked fresh heels for him to work. Gorilla putting Sean over. Marty fell over Jerry Saggs.
Oh.
I think he was expecting that around the midsection. Marty wants the tag. There you go, Kendall couldn't draw money, so he printed it.
The most famous Kendall besides Kendall Jenner?
Off the top of my mentally exhausted head, I can't think of another one. Kendall. Yeah, I can't think of too many Kendalls. Anyone at home? J.A. used to run into all the boys at the Atlanta airport. I'm sure. Probably nowadays, like those that live in Orlando and Tampa.
Marty says he's going to be moving to Tampa at some point soon. Invited me down to his little place.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe I'll go. I think it might be fun one day.
Well, you'd go and stay? Your opinion really changed in a few days?
No, because Marty's so charming. He's like you. You can hate him, and then you see him, and you're like,
Like me?
Well, you have a little bit of that demeanor sometimes. Oh, that's a nice move.
It would have been a nice little Survivor Series type elimination.
I think so too, especially now you got Nasties and Rockers, and I think that would have been even better. I think they should have gotten the Beverly Brother out there, but I think this is to build the. Well,
and the Nasties and the Rockers really never had much of a feud in WWF.
I still think the Rockers should have held those tag titles once.
Well, they kind of did.
They were going to get it, and then they didn't. But
well, Kevin says that Kurgan would have never wrestled, didn't really want to wrestle for the WWF again. Once was enough. Yeah, other than size, Kurgan really didn't offer that much. He had a great look. Freaky Monster. He was on some horror show. I think it was on FX a couple of years ago.
American Horror Story?
No. Shit. It was in the summertime that it was on. What was it called? What was The Strain, I think it was called, or The Strain, or something like that.
Now, this is the semi-main of the evening, correct?
What's that?
Semi-main event, I think. I think
This?
there's one more match, right?
It's second to last. I certainly wouldn't call it the semi-main
Well,
event.
I look at it, that's what I would call it. Main event to me is the last match.
Yeah. To me, the semi-main event would be the second most pushed match on the show.
Well, this is, I believe, the second to last match.
This is probably, other than that Jim Duggan one, well, I don't know, probably on par for the undercard. When they had the ad in WWF magazine, those two matches were not mentioned, believe it or not. Back then, I used to love it when you subscribed to WWF magazine. Sometimes it would come so early, it would beat the announcement of the pay-per-view matches on TV.
Really?
Yeah. I always thought I would get very excited. Like I remember this pay-per-view, for example. I don't know if the Hogan match was announced, but at least the Piper Tag Team match and what would have been the Sid and Jake team matches were announced in the magazine in an ad for the cable companies before they were ever promoted on TV. Have nails on for a watch along. Oh, I've been trying for nails for a long time. Believe me, Matt. That's just a guy that, for whatever the reason, he's just not interested in what we do anymore. He's moved on. I know Demolition Smash sees him from time to time. The Berserker sees him from time to time. That was a good little spot to plant the seeds for the heel turn right there. Good little spot. What happened? What happened? Oh, wait a minute. Little shove. Little shove. We should have Nick Patrick on. Well, I'm sure Nick would be a very interesting guest, but I don't know. I think we have a lot of other talent to get through first before we get to Nick Patrick. Is that a respectful way to say it, Charlie?
I think Nick Patrick has some stories.
You'd like to have Nick Patrick on. Well, you know what? If you folks step up and support the Patreon, I'm willing to bring you just about anyone, but I can only drop the hint so many thousands of times. You know what I mean? I'd like to have both Nasty Boys back on. I know that. I know someone doesn't, but...
Well, he's not even here half the time.
Well, Stone Roses, you're right. That's part of the reason why we're going to Tampa for WrestleCon. Mike, we actually taped an episode with Doink over the weekend.
It's a rough bump for Marty.
I see an elimination coming. I'm sensing it. Marty Jannetty in the Bam Bam Bigelow spot of Survivor Series 87.
Who's the best mullet in this match? That's a question.
Lots of them.
Gosh, Marty was so smooth back in the day.
Yeah, well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. He's a man that when his head is on right, he has so much to offer this industry. Super kick from Marty right there. I was almost going to say super kick from Sean. Now look at Jerry Sag standing there like a buffoon, waiting for Marty to jump on him. I hate that spot. I saw something like that in a battle royal not too long ago.
But wait,
Would love to see a wrestling game show hosted by you where wrestlers compete against each other in a wrestling game show. What, Mr. E-Man, what would you like to see the game show be? Wrestling trivia or small package for Marty? Danny Davis is distracted. The old reversal spot. I don't know how distraught. I know Marty's grabbing the ropes. I don't think the referee saw it. They kept Marty strong. Blake Beverly and the Nasty Boys are the survivors.
I wouldn't have done it exactly like that, but I will be right back before our last match.
Where are you going?
Another bathroom break.
Oh, all right.
I'm always hydrating. I have a small bladder.
I'm beginning to worry that you're doing a little Marty action there. Or John C. John C. likes the box that's in the refrigerator. Here we go. Marty trying to place himself in the right spot for Sean to take the boot from Jerry Sags. Easy roll up for Brian Knobbs. As the tension with the Rockers elevates here at Survivor Series 91. Sean is outright furious as we get ready for the final match of the pay-per-view. Chris would like to see Earl Hebner before Nick Patrick. Oh, you know what? I tend to agree with you. I think Earl would make for, at least for where most of our shows are WWF themed, I think more interesting guest, one man's opinion. Referees always have a very interesting vantage point with the number of matches that they see and work in, night out. Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon giving this Tuesday in Texas the big push. Timmy White would be great for some Andre stories. Matt, you know, Pennsylvania would be tough just because of the athletic commission. Gorilla Monsoon pushing the special holiday pricing. Well, here we go with the final match of the night, folks. Both Sid Justice and Jake Roberts removed. I was hoping as a youngster that Randy Savage would simply replace Sid, but I didn't know this Tuesday in Texas was going to happen. Here we have Mouth of the South Jimmy Hart with the Natural Disasters, along with a man that the Natural Disasters would be taking on just a few months later at WrestleMania 8, IRS. Yeah, Drew Tube, you're not necessarily wrong about that. He has a little bit of a drawl. Whoa, look at that one. I wonder if she survived. Earthquake and Typhoon, certainly a physically fearsome duo. IRS trying to get a little heat talking about tax cheats. Oh, I hear the door. I'm going to guess that's either Charlie or John C's on about number 7. What's your favorite flavor, John C., of those beverages?
Yeah, you talking about that sweet?
Yeah.
That's the chair.
Oh, what's your favorite flavor? Did you have the same one both times, or did you mix it up?
I think I have like a pineapple and like a strawberry.
Pineapple and strawberry. All right. Which one did you like better? The pineapple, really? All right. Well, John C. likes the pineapple hard lemonade. I don't know what we'd do without him. John C. was a huge help last night. When we went back to everyone else but me went back to the 90s at Memorial Hall. Hawk and Animal, the Legion of Doom, what a rush. World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions getting ready to team up with the Big Boss Man for a 6-man elimination tag team matchup. I agree with you, Drew, too. This is a situation that just went way too far when it came to that scissors battle that Sid and Arn Anderson had in, I believe, October of '93, if memory serves me correct. Yeah, Kevin, only 2 out of the 6 men in this match are still with us, including the 7 if you include the referee. Believe it or not, I was not there to have the Fabo mints, Mr. Showbiz guy. I would like to try them. Cena Senior versus Quincy at WrestleMania on the pre-show. That would be maybe before the doors open. But I don't know if Johnny could get the Christie up over his head.
I think the public needs to see that.
Cena and Quincy.
I think so, yeah.
Cena is not a big Quincy fan, though.
Well, why not? Well, I can understand that.
Fan.
So I think that Quincy and Cena, they're probably about evenly matched, athletically, mentally too.
I don't know about mentally, but certainly physically.
Now, I can tell you this. Cam Zagami might be gone from WWF after the last night's show.
Well, I heard otherwise. I don't know. I thought he needed one of those lifeboats off of the Titanic, but maybe there was a rescue paid his way. We're gonna have to see how it plays out the coming weeks and months here in Boston Wrestling MWF. Again, for those of you that were with us last night, you're going to be emailed a 10% discount through the month of November for a Soul Survivor 10 when we go back to the 80s. It's going to be a hell of a night. Great in-ring action, along with those legends that made pro wrestling so great for us. Matthews being a comedian again. Stone Roses, you are correct. Yep, that derailed Sid. He was supposed to go over on Vader at Starrcade '93. I don't know who Flair was supposed to work, but Boss Man decided otherwise on that one. Wow, he took that one with authority, as Gorilla would like to say. I know. IRS was expecting him to be there. From the Big Boss Man. What do you think of that, Charlie?
Well, Big Boss Man was a hell of a worker. I can't believe they had IRS on the last show, the last match of the show. That's crazy to me.
Charlie, get off Tinder, brah.
Who said that?
Loose can 88.
Well,
are you on Tinder?
Actually, not even on Tinder.
Oh, all right. Well, we're just making sure.
Just making sure.
Fuck John Cena Sr.
Yes. That Carney wanker. He just seems like he's always up to no good. I think he's a villain in disguise.
Which one now?
John Cena Sr. And the regular John Cena, too.
You think John Cena Sr. is a villain?
I think he's up to no good. Just let's keep an eye out on things. I mean, you ever have a bad feeling about someone?
No. But do they have their own mints?
That's the thing. What good guy has his own mints?
Well, for that case, what bad guy has their own mints?
Marty.
I don't know if your persona in the world of professional wrestling dedicates your ownership of mints.
Well, do you think bad guys should have mints or good guys? Oh, wow. Great shoulder tackle by Animal.
Got him down.
They had at least polished up a little bit as workers by this point. They were never world-class workers, but they were definitely better at this point in time.
Well, they worked with Mike Rotundo when he was a member of the varsity club in the NWA.
We wore a singlet,
Yep.
a dirty-looking singlet that said Syracuse on it.
Johnny B. Bad would have had mints. Well,
Oh, I love Johnny B. Bad. Oh, I'd have his mints. I would take the Johnny B. Bad mints over the John Cena Senior mints. Would you?
no, I'd probably try the
Do you
mints.
think he'd be good in this chair, Mark Merrow?
Has he?
Would he be in? Could he be in this chair? You think?
I mean, is he on my top 10 list? No, but stranger things have happened. Look at some of the people we had last year on the Holiday Headlocks toy drive that we weren't expecting just because of the crazy times we were in. Look at that, the good guys doing a little double team work on Typhoon. Dan, can you announce the minute, seconds of where? Because I'm not that close to the TV, I really can't, Drew.
Guys, we're like 2 hours and 20 minutes into it.
We're about 2 hours and 20 minutes into it, if I was to guess. It's the last match between the Legion of Doom and the Big Boss Man against Natural Disasters and IRS.
I think there's like
no
another-
one has been eliminated yet. Hawk is in the ring with Earthquake. Boston Wrestling, Lucha Underground production style, but New England type characters. NFT pay-per-views. I'm not quite sure what that means. Hawk laying it in on IRS.
Who do you think was the better of the two in the ring, Hawk or Animal?
I think Hawk would have been the more explosive of the two. Animal maybe a little bit more sound. The Hawk was kind of all over the place in and out of the ring.
Fair to say. So I think out of what's good is you have four big guys, but you had two very skilled workers in there in Boss Man and IRS.
When slid him the briefcase. Slid him the briefcase. Could be it for the Boss Man. He feels like he just served some hard time. And the Boss Man has been eliminated, ladies and gentlemen. It's down to 2-on-3 in this rare 6-man elimination match. Naked HD, I don't know if you're a real person, Naked, say something about Survivor Series 91. You may be getting the old Blockola. The old Blockola. They're going to get the Boss Man treatment in Survivor Series 91. Fans are behind LOD in Detroit, one of their towns, so to speak. Oh, he almost tripped on the briefcase and sprained his ankle.
What was in the briefcase?
Probably nothing would be my guess, but you never know. I'm going to guess he wasn't bringing out his passport to the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize if I'm yawning. I had a long night last night with the MWF Soul Survivor 9 back to the 90s. That was a long day and a half for me. I'll tell you that right now.
That was not Soul Survivor 9, but it was back to the 90s.
I thought that's what you called it, Soul Survivor 9.
No. That was not it.
All right. Well,
Oh, wait a minute. Mike Burke Kaufman said about enough. Why wasn't Rick Martel on this card? Martel, you got to remember, he would kind of come and go for a while. I don't remember if he was even around full time at this point in 91. I think his wife had an illness, and at various points of her treatment, he would kind of come and go. From probably 91 through 94 or so. And I don't think that helped his cause of as far as a push. And I think he was down in the teepees, Kenny, down in North Carolina. We really missed him. I'm sure he'll have another one of his videos on his Ouija board.
Speaking of North Carolina, we didn't get to see the stalker, Dylan Cage.
Well, that's what he's talking about. He said, where was Dylan last night? One can only hope a cemetery, but, you know, we always can't be so lucky. Well, Hawk had a little bit of trouble there. I look terrified. I just hate him. There's a difference. I think he's strange. I think he's peculiar. I think anyone that has this satanic affinity is a little on the bizarre side, but
would
what
you
are
have
we
a
gonna do?
satanic affinity, Marty?
Huh?
Do you think you have a satanic affinity? Affinity?
Do I have a satanic what?
Affinity.
Me?
Yeah.
I would not think so.
You kind of walk on the dark side a little bit.
Wow, my humor does.
Wow, they took Typhoon out. First, I thought they were going to take IRS.
See that big Mark in the front row standing up clapping with his ponytail. Who said they walked in Montana? He was supposedly with Tom Zink, Big J. Yeah, like I said, Matt, Martel would kind of come and go over the next couple of years. I think around 94 would have been it for him. Yeah, I don't know, Loose Cannon. I still look at 90 as a rough one. No bueno. This was the first pay-per-view that my dad let me order. I was 11. Well, David, we must be right about the same age.
Oh, wow, these guys are real friends. Look at them. They're going out together. They're like, you know what? Forget this. We're going
We've had
out.
enough.
We've had enough of this. Was this the end of their tag team?
Who?
Typhoon and Earthquake, or they went?
Oh, no. They were together for at least another year. As I noted when you were on one of your little breaks, they actually opposed IRS at WrestleMania 8 just a few months after this. As things started to go haywire within the company.
Oh, they turned babyface, correct?
Hawk was suspended for several months, which necessitated the Legion of Doom dropping the tag team titles out of nowhere to the tag team put together out of nowhere of IRS and Ted DiBiase.
Well, Money Inc. kind of made sense, though.
I guess.
Tax man, rich man. Plus, I could see why they wasn't so happy. Let's see IRS get his head knocked off by Legion of Doom. I mean, IRS was never a big heel on the totem pole like DiBiase was, but he was a solid mid-card heel.
Who?
IRS.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, DiBiase was a legit, I would say actually DiBiase, for about a couple of years there, was the hottest heel in wrestling.
Oh, yeah. He was a true main event.
I mean, he was the #1 heel in WWF for a bit. And I would actually say, let me ask this, who was the better heel, Flair or DiBiase?
In WWF?
Or just,
history?
Or just in their era?
Probably Flair.
I'd go DiBiase. I think DiBiase is more dislikable than Flair.
I want Dan to be Quincy's wrestling manager. Well, if that was to ever happen, I think Quincy would choose Al Snow over I.
He loves Al Snow.
Best friends, which is just amazing because it's true. Look at that. What's trying to get a cheap feel on Road Warrior Hawk's back.
See, at this point, if you got Iris, I wouldn't have gone this long. I would have had boom, boom, boom.
You just would have ended it.
I would have Iris bump around, LOD hits their finish, crowd goes home happy, we're out.
What do you think John C's hair would look like if he took the Doomsday device?
Probably fall off.
I don't think it would fall off, but I think it would look wild.
Have you seen what the Briscoe brothers would do? I don't know if you even know who they are. They're a tag team Ring of Honor. They did.
I thought you meant Jerry and Jack. No, I do know who you mean.
They did the Doomsday where the guy sits up and the guy flips after the clothesline. Very dangerous looking. I think it's way safer doing the flap up.
Well, thank you for that.
Well, it's
deep insight.
No, it is. I know you're a big fan of your indie wrestling. No,
I'm a big fan of all wrestling. That's good. Hope Flair has fixed his finances by now. I hate seeing older people. I think Nature's doing all right financially, or he wouldn't have tried to quit WWE. Whoa, whoops. Wouldn't have left WWE the way he did not too long ago.
I would have hated to wrestle in that suit.
I don't know. Was 95 really a great year for WCW Loose Can? What did you like about it so much?
They were trying to find themselves a little bit.
They started Nitro, but some of those early Nitro episodes, you had some good undercard wrestling. But
Maybe
that
we
main
should-
event picture with Hogan and the Dungeon of Doom was a
Oh yeah, that was rough.
little on
But
the
I
rough
think-
side,
but I think
so to
everything
speak.
else was okay.
What's that?
I think everything else was okay, relatively speaking. Besides Dungeon.
I think WCW started to find their stride in 96, one man's opinion. If you liked it in 95, I'm glad you did. I'm glad someone did. Double clothesline from the LOD on IRS.
Oh, is IRS just he's gonna powder and go.
Well, they would oppose each other at SummerSlam 92. Obviously, with Ted DiBiase and IRS together. What a horrible way to end the show. You'd think the LOD would have ran after him and chased him back in the ring. Was there any particular reason they needed to keep out? Oh, wait a minute. No. I guess I forgot the finish. You think Pagan should walk around with a nightstick like that? The Law and Order in Memorial Hall.
I think it'd be very sexy.
Really?
Yeah.
You think if I'm sure I could get into some trouble if I said something along the lines of, could you imagine her with a shirt like the Boss Man has on right about now? She's ready for her dollar bills. I know that. Very excited about her dollar bills.
Well, I mean, hey, she's got to make that money. We all got to make that money, right?
I just want to know what the restoration fund goes towards. It'd be nice if they had some lights. And there you go, fans. World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions. Hawk and Animal, the Legion of Doom, victorious here to cap off a tremendous Thanksgiving Eve 1991. A lot of sad folks that the Hulkster lost the WWF Heavyweight Championship. A lot of fans excited that there was a second pay-per-view 6 nights later that featured the rematch between Hogan and Undertaker, and then the return of in-ring competition of Macho Man Randy Savage for the first time since WrestleMania 7 against Jake the Snake Roberts. If you were to grade Survivor Series 91, what would you give it? And I ask you folks at home too, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 the highest, 1 the lowest, what would you give it?
5.5.
Oh. What is it with you and the halves when you get 10 options?
Half and half.
Oh,
5.5.
all right, fair enough.
What do you want to say?
J.A. Will gave it a 4. 7.5 from Lou, another half guy, Loose Cannon. Mike Burke, 7. D gave it an 8.
What do you give it, Dan?
I would probably give it a 7. Chris Steves gave it a 7.
You know, I'll up it to a 6. For you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Dave, he didn't like all the substitutions. He gives it a 7. Yeah, there were a lot of substitutions on this show and changes. And virtually every match other than the opener and the, no, a couple of
I'll
matches.
give it 5.78.
I remember the Survivor Series flashback, Undertaker saying that he beat Hogan when he was still somebody. Well, Easy gives it a 6, and Stone Roses really liked it. He gets an 8 just for Undertaker winning the title, and the crowd in Detroit popping for it. Yeah, I think if you had Macho and Jake, it would have helped. Yeah, I still think there's a way maybe you could have had Jake maybe leave the match while Savage was getting worked on by somebody, or who knows. But we really enjoyed this, fans. We will be, although I don't think we are going to be back next week because the working plan is that I will be live in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York for Survivor Series 2021. I don't know if you'd like to come down yourself to enjoy a watch along. I'd have to give you my key, I guess. But I don't know how well that would go over. Maybe we could do a watch along at Memorial Hall.
Oh, a watch along at Memorial Hall?
Yeah, get like a big movie screen or something.
Oh, gosh. Well, I will say this. Have fun, a fun time at the Barclays.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Well, if nonetheless, fans, with this creepy promo, I remember how creepy I found it with Paul Bearer and the new WWF World Champion, The Undertaker. We'll be back this Thursday night live with the Starrcade 92 watch along. So there's something to look forward to if you enjoy 1992 WCW. We sat through that brutal 91 the other night.
I'm trying to think of anything off the 92 start. Actually, I remember a couple things off that.
I don't know if Vince would want me going live at Survivor Series to do a 3-hour watch along, but bring Kyrie Irvin with you. Well, Kyrie, a former Celtic. Very creepy here. Well, we talked about that candle for a certain someone. Gene Sellon. And what a great finish. I like that. Well, overall, folks, again, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think, did you say 6? You changed your mind?
I'll change to 6.
All right, well.
And not 5.97. I'll go.
All right, a full 6. All right, fans, we enjoyed you joining us tonight. Those that were kind enough to super chat, mwah, thank you so much. You helped the cause as we prepare to head back to the Sunshine State on November the 30th to kick off the cyber version of the Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks. For my partner in crime and to my right, I guess, on screen, Mr. John C. Riley of Boston Wrestling. And this guy over here, Charlie Wilson, who was a tremendous help in Back to the 90s celebration last night. I'm Dan Marty. As we like to say, we'll see you live Thursday night for Starrcade 92. You and yours, be well, be healthy. Good night from Boston as we await the big old clap from John C.